Cool. Hey, what's going on, guys? Gonna be down coming to you from Pinku Style Japan podcast studio. It's been 5 months since came back here. So much so, I went on my phone and I was like, dude, it couldn't have been 5 months. Me and Lex King was on here last at 2:15 talking about FD's top 32 battle and the way they're gonna change and stuff like that. So go and check that out if you want to see. Check that out. All right. So today we got Jeff Jones in and we got Patrick Thomas in. All right. So what we're gonna do pretty much with this one, before we get into the premise of this, which is bringing up the event that these guys got coming up here soon in September, very soon, like I think 2 weeks or less. We're going to talk about that and then go from there. And then again, this hang out and stuff like that. So starting with Jeff, man, if you could, man, just introduce yourself, a little bit about yourself, where you're from, if you'd like to state that, and how you got into this card game. And then we'll same question will be for Pat after you get done, man.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, Donald. This is a pleasure. I've been following you for a really long time, so it's really great to have the opportunity to be on here with Patrick. So first of all, I'd like to apologize to you, Patrick, and the audience, because I've just discovered a cricket right over here. So we got a little ambiance going. But just to give you a little bit about myself, so my name is Jeff Jones. I'm the founder of Boss Battle LLC. And it's a company that I started back in 2020, May 2020, actually. And so the whole idea behind Boss Battle is it's really about a mentality. It's a lifestyle brand, also based off of my passion and enthusiasm for Japan and Japanese culture as well. And as you can see behind me, I have like some figures there and different anime represented. So I've been a fan of Japan and Japanese culture for a really long time. Started Boss Battle after a relatively long career, at least relative to my age, in sales and marketing. And in 2020, I actually stepped away from my career, actually early 2021, stepped away from my career and decided that it was time to do something new. And those who know me, and we may be able to get into this a little bit later, know about my passion for mental health and et cetera. So, that was also wrapped up into my journey. Also a really religious person and believe in, just following the spirit and, doing what, really you're being directed to do. So in founding Boss Battle LLC, I had been starting a journey into really digging into my passion in Japan. And in doing so, I found myself working on a film, and that film's called the Dream Engine film. And that is about Mazda and the Rotary engine, not just the RX-7, but the development of the Rotary engine over the years. And during the course of that project, which took me to Japan twice in 2023, I had the opportunity to meet Mr. Keiichi Tsuchiya through a friend of mine who's also my producer. And through that process, I befriended Mr. Tsuchiya and got to know his staff very well. And over time, that really budded into a relationship of, just chatting back and forth. When I finally went back to Japan in September of 2023 for the second time to sort of wrap up the Japan filming, I had a dinner with Mr. Tsuchiya and asked him if he'd be willing to come to the United States. By that point, and then I'll pass it over to Patrick. By that point, I had already met Patrick, and I know he's going to give a lot of his experience. And I met Patrick. We talked about the idea of doing an event with DK. And at that point, September, I talked to DK about what we were thinking about, and he agreed to come to the United States. So that is sort of how the Drift Battle USA journey was started. But that's all about me and my brief background and sort of how that leads into Drift Battle USA. But at this point, I can pass it over to Patrick.
Roger
that. Hey guys. Again, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for setting this up. Oh, I like that. Very nice. For me, my journey into the Japanese automotive started in Jamaica, where my uncles and I were very much into cars and driving them really aggressive. And so I grew up in a car driving family. Both the men and the women in my family drive stick shift and drive very aggressively. So that led me into starting a career in building cars initially, and then moving into events. I started in 1999 with Super Tuner Show, and a brief story about that. How I started was I had seen Import Tuner magazine. I don't know if a lot of your viewers are old enough to know that magazine.
Yeah.
Import Tuner, Turbo, Super Street, and Hot Import Nights had just started in California, and I was like, "Wow, this is a fantastic show. We need something like this on the East Coast." And I called them up. I was working for Sony at the time. I called them up and I said, "Hey guys, you should come to the East Coast and do something like this." And they said, "No, East Coast doesn't have a scene." And I was like, "No way." So with that, I went ahead and started Super Tuner Show, and from there, it's been a journey into drag racing, which I started doing in 2010, and then continuing the show scene here in the tri-state area. I then connected with Jeff from 742 Marketing, and we took the whole drag racing, World Drag Racing Circuit, which is my drag racing company, on the road, and we've been in a couple of different states throughout the U.S. And again, like I said, I got connected with Jeff. Jeff told me the idea of bringing the Drift King here, which was very exciting, considering that I've been a fan of drifting since it started in the early 2000s. So this was an opportunity, and it was a good program. So I jumped on board. Jeff and I both have unique skill sets to make this event very unique and very special. And I think with what he brings to the table and what I bring to the table is going to make this event a lot of fun for a lot of people.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. And the one, I mean, to be blunt, man, but if the timing was different, man, because I definitely seen it when you guys first announced it. I definitely, I'm pretty sure there might be another one after this one. Definitely like to get involved with it and sync my company to it and things like that. Come over from Japan. Guys always freak out when a dude flies from Japan to America to come to an event, and we'll get into that a little bit later about Japan and how it is living here and things like that for your guys that'll watch from your circle, because a lot of guys don't, they think Japan is easy and everything. And everybody that does any event coordination, man, I much props to you guys, because I've done a few last year, and you never rest, man. You're always running around. Everything never goes 100% correct, but you make it happen anyway, man. So major props and respect to you for the event coordinating over the years. Been doing this since '99, and it's one of those things. As you do it more and more, it gets better, but it never gets easy. If that makes sense, man.
That is a fact.
Yeah.
That is a fact.
Yeah, man. So we got that stuff there. So again, I'm gonna bring up the flyer real quick and knock this off the screen, and then so this is the So before we get into it, man, I mean, again, about the event promotion, because I definitely want to front load this. Anything you guys want to promote about the event? If I'm pretty sure entries are already locked at this point.
We still have some opening for entries. We sold out our vendor spots, which was very good, and we have a few car show spots. But here on the East Coast, especially for outdoor event, they don't really book ahead of time. They watch, and then based on the weather, they'll purchase. So for what where we're at so far, we're very happy. Tickets are selling every day, pretty much all over the country. We have some really good drivers coming in. Chris Snap from Raceway Park is going to be heading up the drift program, along with his partner Jake. And we have Dennis the Menace, the Gridmaster of Gridmasters, coming out to be our Gridmaster. So that sets the drifting up to be a really great program.
Awesome, man. And Jeff, so essentially, like I said, with Tsuchiya, son, when you came over and talked to him again, I remember when you came over, You've been involved in things like the 7-day, multiple times and things like that, man. For Tsuchiya, man, like what would you say? Before, again, actually, no, I'll save that question for later, man. For the event, what would you want to put out there for the event to, I guess, people to have heads up? I guess a loose schedule of events. How's the event going to go down? Is it going to be like prizes, judges? How's it going to happen for that, Jeff?
Sure. Actually, I'll let Patrick handle
Okay.
that one since he's handling the actual logistics of that
gotcha.
part.
Okay.
He'll say it much more
Hey,
concise than me.
Gotcha. All right, go ahead, Pat. Take it away, man.
All right, so basically the show is divided up into two parts, two main parts: the car show and the drifting, where DK will be doing exhibition and judging, and of course signing autographs. That's what a lot of people are coming out for. The drift program is a standard drift program: practice runs, qualifying, top 32. And then top 32 breaking it down to top 16. We'll introduce the drivers at top 16 and then go into eliminations all the way to finals. The car show is broken up into two parts. It's the top 200 VIP cars. And then we have our buddy Coco from None Like Mine. In the evening, he's going to run the meat section. Coco's running the entire car show. Then we do have Spectator Entertainment, which is one of the fan favorites here on the East Coast, which we're going to have MC Slick lead that off. I'm not sure if you're familiar with this guy, but he's basically the car show MC. We'll be doing a two-step competition, a burnout competition, a low car limbo competition. All of that will be done on track for the fans to check out and see. So it's an event that will have a car show, drifting, which obviously is the center of the event, but also spectator entertainment to make it like a real family fun event, because the kids love the cars and the parents love the two-step and the burnout.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm just like, there is no smiling, man, because it's like it's something for everybody there, man. So this thing is gonna be, the car show guys are satisfied. You got the drifters satisfied. You got the people who just like loud noises satisfied. Yeah, man. Continue yourself, brother, man.
And the main thing about all of this is throughout the program, you can see Mr. Tsuchiya around the event. He'll be driving and signing autographs, two different versions, two different times each day. So it's an event that encompasses the JDM lifestyle of what Japan, I guess, in motorsports and Japan in modified cars represent. And the big thing, I think, is the fact that all three areas, which is the drifting, car show, and the entertainment, is coming together to kind of celebrate what DK has offered for a better part of 2 decades to the motorsports community and to the influence of motorsports here in Japan, and I mean in the US, and obviously what he's created, which is an international sensation right now, motorsport sensation, and that is drifting.
Awesome, brother, man. That's like a minute from it just because I know what it takes to get this done, man, and like that, just the fact that everything is all lined up. I mean, let's be honest, man. I've been in the game 20 something plus years, and if I ask some guys or another guy about this event, man, they're like, yeah, maybe so, and all these words where they're not sure. Like I could tell, man, like the fact that you just rambled off all that stuff without stopping there, man, it's all good to go, man. So.
Hey Donald,
yeah.
Why do you think I passed it off to him?
Yeah, I mean, hey man, hey, that's one of those things where hey man, like you hire the smarter people, man. You know what I mean? So
one couple things. So Patrick and I are definitely partners in this effort, right? So the whole idea behind this is that, like Patrick said, we have our strengths. Mm-hmm. So the fact of the matter is that one thing that I've learned throughout my career is that when you partner with smarter people, for sure, people who are good at what you either don't have experience in, or as much experience in, or that you're just not good at, right? So for me, obviously, it's a great idea to have Tsuchiya come. It's anyone can say, "Hey, I want Tsuchiya to come to the United States." Great idea, right? But the fact of the matter is, the execution of that idea is what
100%.
truly makes it a successful event. So with Patrick, Patrick and I actually first met in person at the New York Auto Show. So Patrick is one of the key partners of an event called the R2 Expo. Patrick may want to talk about that later on in the conversation if we get there, but the R2 Expo is a really top level, high class event at the New York Auto Show, which has 1 million visitors go through throughout the course of that event. Patrick's one of the key organizers of the R2 Expo, which shows tuned cars, very gorgeous show cars of all different eras. I mean, it's just a wonderful event. So Patrick and I met through there, and when what met at there rather, because I wasn't a part of it, but he was one of the key partners. So when I talked to Patrick and we spoke, it was very clear very early on that this is a gentleman that not only has a ton of experience, obviously since 1999, but he also knows how to put on a very high quality top level program. So it was one thing for me to meet with Mr. Tsuchiya and say, hey, like, you want to come over to the US? But the reason I had that confidence to ask him that in September is because I knew that I had the perfect partner, essentially, to ensure that the actual execution of the event and the logistics run the way that Tsuchiya deserves for it to be run.
Roger that. And real quick on that, because I mean, I've like right now we're so man, it's just so much stuff lined up right now. Again, I love my reason I smile, man, is I just love progress, man, and forward and stuff like that. So with Tsuchiya, we, again, man, that was crazy because we all watched him coming up, right? So we all watched Hot Version, all the videos. So I turned pro back in 2015, and Tsuchiya was one of the judges at the event, man. So like all those hours of drift bobble and all that stuff, man, culminated to me getting validated by Tsuchiya. Like essentially he signed me off as a pro drifter, man. So that's cool right there. For yourself, man, how was it? And Patrick, have you met Tsuchiya yet in person?
No, okay, and again, here we go with the skill sets.
Yeah.
Jeff is instrumental and absolute key for the communication with Tsuchiya.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I have to give it to Jeff. Jeff is an excellent businessman. He knows how to dot his I's and cross his T's.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons why this event is happening the way it's happening with Tsuchiya coming is because of Jeff.
Roger
so that. Anything to do with Tsuchiya, I haven't met him yet, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to pass that over to Jeff because Jeff is the man when it comes to that. 100%.
Roger. So Jeff, man, with that, man, like, what was the? I know again, man, it's weird, man. You, of course, we've all at this point seen people in person. Talk to them that we've seen on TV or whatever, blah, blah, blah. More so back then when we were coming up because we were older. Now everybody's on YouTube, man. Like being on the YouTube channel is not a big deal. Everybody can have an account. But when you first meet Tsuchiya in person, Jeff, man, how was the initial interaction and did he have like handlers around him and stuff like that? How was that? How did that go for you?
Sure. So when I first met Tsuchiya, it was actually during a shoot. We were going to do an interview, which we did. We actually filmed an interview for the Dream Engine film. But before that, I was actually at a shoot for a show that he does on YouTube called Kuruma Arabi, which is a show about reviewing cars and picking cars and etc. And so once again, my friend Shota Yaguchi, he works on that show, among other things, with Tsuchiya-san. So I actually was at the shoot, and I got there early before Tsuchiya-san arrived, and so this really nice like Honda minivan Odyssey pulls up, and it's like all tinted out, and then Shoda's like, Tsuchiya-san's here, and I'm like, oh, okay. And like honestly, my first reaction, I mean, not gonna lie, I'm in Japan. That was actually my first trip there, so I'm still like getting acclimated. Obviously,
you're still getting all the sounds and everything.
I know. I'm still trying to get my bearings right. And then like he's like, Tsuchiya-san's here, and like I just get this wave of nervousness. Like I'm like not gonna lie, I was like wow, like it's one thing to say that like you want to do something with someone or talk to someone, but when you see them in person, I never really thought myself to be like the kind of starstruck kind of person, but this is really someone who I watched on, like you said, on the old classic, grainy videos and all that stuff like that. So he was very, very, when I first met him, and obviously this has continued throughout our interactions, but very, very kind, very down to earth. And like he has a manager, and that's who I actually communicate with, most of the time. But no like real handlers or security or anything like that. So he's a very, very chill guy, very laid back. I was super nervous when I met him, but over time, I've become more comfortable with him. I'm still super nervous about him coming here. Obviously, that's a whole different dynamic.
Yeah.
But he's a very nice guy and very funny, just as he has been in the videos over the years. So he's basically everything that you would expect and more. Just a wonderful person.
Awesome, man. That's the cool thing about it, man. Is like when you been around the game for a while. Again, we all collectively. I mean, I'm 41, man, so we definitely been around for a while, and the ups and downs of the industry and stuff like that. And of course, man, sometimes unfortunately you hear things about people before you even meet them. So it's like you hear so many things and blah blah blah. But when you meet people like face to face, it's like maybe their interaction was what it was because maybe the energy was there. But again, man, those guys seeing you come in there, I'm pretty sure you're prepared. You talk to them and everything like that. And that that first five, just like that whatever everybody, that first 5 minutes when you meet somebody is like pretty vital. And sometimes there's exceptions to the rule. Maybe you just lost a loved one, and maybe it's not the best. Maybe that 5 minutes is not going to be the best, so that's not maybe a good measuring scale. But generally for Japanese, especially Tsuchiya's son, he's been around so many people, so many events, judged so many things that he and his team are easy to pick up on if guys were real. You know what I'm saying? If they're about their craft, and I'm pretty sure like they got that right away. Again, you got the interview, which I'm actually trying to find right here. And things like that, man. So again, it's just awesome stuff, man. And then I'm going to flip it to Patrick real quick. As Pat, man, again, you got this event. We talked about the goodness of this event, right? But I just want to, like, for the guys out there who think it's easy and you just wake up and do an event, what would you say? What was your most, I guess, I don't want to say catastrophe because the event probably still went on to get canceled. What was the most hardest event you had to put together, Pat? And what were some of the things that went wrong and some of the things that went right and everything to let you know you could do this further in the future?
So let me understand the question. You're not asking about the catastrophes of this event.
No, not this one. No, not this one. No, I don't want to. No, we want to keep
catastrophes, Patrick. We want
to keep this. We want to keep this one pop. We want to talk about the catastrophes after the event's over. I don't want to put that up front, man. But going back in the past, because obviously this event's gonna go down. It's gonna be awesome. Going back in the past, man, what would you say? What was that one event that you learned the most from to put you in this point now to put on an event like this?
I want to say it would be, and be very careful what I say. It would be in 2003 when I went to Maryland. I was coming off the success of 2 years of Super Tuner show in New York, and decided to take Super Tuner on the road. So I rented Super Tuner. I rented the Maryland Convention Center in Baltimore and put the show together and realized a couple of things. Your company name is something that's very key. Working with local authorities is also very key, which I did, and I thought I did properly, but also making sure to hold people accountable. So that event was a disaster for me. It was my third year doing events, my first year on the road, and I just realized the key to a contract is to hold everyone accountable to the contract. But when you're dealing with a city that owns a venue, you basically have no rights and you're at their mercy. So that event was extremely difficult for me to navigate. And I'll tell you what happened. The name of my company at the time was Roughneck Promotions. And I thought in New York, Roughneck Promotions is cool. People associate that to reggae music and the car culture that we had in Brooklyn and Queens, pretty much the New York City area, and people thought it was cool. I'm outside of New York, and people who are not familiar with the West Indian culture and those types of names like Tough Gong, Conquering Lion, Roughneck, that gives off a totally different vibe.
Yeah.
Uh, you're laughing, so
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah, 100%.
So here I am going into this event with the success of 2 years of Races and Tuners, Super Tuner show in New York City, and thinking to myself, okay, we're going to have a fantastic show. I did all the right things. I met all the groups, all the clubs down there. One of the clubs down there actually was helping me. And we get to the convention center, and there's a car club from New York came with me, actually. And there was very few people there and very few cars there. And I started panicking. Obviously, renting a convention center at that time from the city was not cheap.
Not at all.
And I was just beside myself. A gentleman that I was also working with down there called me and said, hey, the cops are at all the entrance to the city, and they're saying the event is sold out and turning people around.
Wow.
Fast forward to my final meeting. We'll just end that there. Fast forward to my final meeting with the convention center. They acted like they didn't know what was going on. I got reports. I got tons of emails of people saying, hey, we tried to get in. I actually did a promotion with the radio station. The radio station called me to say, hey, the tickets we gave away, people came, and it was a disaster for me. And what I learned from that is appearance, presentation, and what the public views of your event and your event setup is very important.
100%.
And moving forward, I changed the whole appearance, the whole outlook of the company, how I do things, and be very selective with who I work with. And I'm going to say Jeff is very good at keeping me in check with that, because, sometimes, being in the game a long time, you'll take certain things for granted. And I'll give it to Jeff. Jeff definitely keeps the I's dotted and the T's crossed. And from that experience, that was in 2002.
Oh, yeah.
I've able to persevere, push past, and create some fantastic events that people love, people enjoy, and, bring that learning experience coupled with everything that I've done throughout the years to Drift Battle, and bring it also, keys to bring it into this era. You and I know that when we started, what's going on now is totally different. And you said we could talk candid, so let's talk about
100%.
Street racing vibes were more about the racing, the cars, and the scene, where we would hang out, talk, bet our races, and then go to, in New York, it was Conduit, Hunts Point, Zarega, to race, and that would be the vibe. The vibe now is totally different, and with that, it's like we have to make sure this event appeals to the people of our age and appeals to the younger generation, the newer crowd that's coming up, and especially introducing them to Tsuchiya, a legend like that. We have to educate them on the history of drifting.
Yes, sir. Sorry, one of my boys is up here, man. But yeah, man, that's 100%. And with that, man, the biggest thing, I mean, I took a little note here, man, was the accountability. The biggest thing with that, man, and definitely guys that are looking, that's the reason I asked this question, because just you've been in the game, doing this since '99. There's somebody that's going to start promoting next week, man. So they're going to make all the mistakes that you made because they're probably not going to look out there. I mean, they shouldn't, because now one thing I don't get about today and age, and you brought it up, man, was the amount of information and data that's out there for these young guys to take in. I mean, they literally got a supercomputer in their pocket. Everything you want is on his phone. They just don't look up the stuff, and they just make those mistakes. Maybe that's human nature to kind of just go out there and do it. And sometimes you got to go out there and definitely just do it and not be analytical and think about it too much. But also, if you got data from the past history, you definitely want to study what happened in 1942 or what happened in Vietnam and what happened, so we don't make those mistakes. And then we make those same mistakes in Iraq and Afghanistan. Not to get too much into war, because I'm a war vet. But yeah, man,
you're right.
It's kind of with today, man. It's definitely. I don't want to. I almost always sound like an old man talking about young guys, but it's. I don't understand how they make so many mistakes today when they got the data. And like I say, you had to go through it. So hopefully somebody watching this will see, hey man, like, you know, definitely make sure you hold people accountable, because nothing's never cool, or because when you start doing that too many times, now the security guard doesn't know that you got people coming in the back with trucks and he waves them off, and no, everybody's not on the same page. The cops not letting people in is because somebody at the police department, the precinct, didn't brief them on what the deal was. And now you have the convention center rented out. I'm from Baltimore, so I know how big that place is, and I've been there with it's filled to max capacity. That's money lost, man. That's a hard lesson, and it's money gone that you're not going to get back, and also potentially penalties and fees you got to pay because you didn't fulfill a certain amount of a quota. So that's the stuff that a lot of people don't want to, I guess, learn.
The main thing is that, and it's something that we've done with this show, and especially Jeff, because Jeff could attest to the fact that once we put this up, we had a lot of people coming in and just being excited about the Drift King coming, and Jeff filtered out a lot of the, 100%. To put it, the sincerity and the excitement. And it's, again, you have to hold people accountable. And for the young kids today, what they're going to get from this show, apart from meeting a legend, is you're going to get just the origin of things and how things should be done, and the way you create family around something. The longevity of everything is based on the younger generation coming in and doing it right, working with community, working with outside vendors, and bringing everybody together to make an event that is something that's going to propel the motorsports and that particular style of events into the future, and not create like a brick wall or a barrier that would, slow it down or stop it.
Right. And with that, man, because again, I got to ask you guys this, because again, you guys, we were from the same era of tuning, and started out back in the Street Fighter days, way before YouTube was a thing. And
Street Fighter,
yeah, man. Yeah, I found a way back machine, and I got some videos on there that are actually still in the server. But yeah, man. So again, Jeff, I'll start with you, man. What again, I don't want to sound like an old guy, but again, I got older guys in, so I got to ask these questions for the guys who are watching. With today's, Instagram, instant gratification, Twitter, X, all the stuff like that, coming up from where we came up from, where we didn't have, the computer in our pocket, we had to go to AutoZone and look in the children's menu and not get caught reading it and stuff like that, or stealing pages. I stole pages. Guilty. I've definitely took pages out of there back in the day. Don't stealing is not cool. Don't do that. But
don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that.
We all learn from the past.
I got caught by junkyard guys taking axles and all types of stuff like that. Don't do that. But man, so going back in the Wayback Machine, Street Fighter, E-Bomb, Daily Motion, before all this stuff, YouTube. What would you say is the biggest difference between then and what the tuning scene, car scene, overall culture, and kind of now? And again, that's from both of you guys' perspective.
So I think Patrick maybe alluded to this a bit, but one thing that and like you said, it is tough to not sound like
the old guy,
an old guy, because because we all of us on this call have kids,
right? And
it's inevitable that we've had the conversations already, where you talk to your
Jeff, just say it. We're all old guys.
Yeah.
I can't, bro. The hair doesn't lie. I can't even front. So
I'm wearing glasses. I got reading glasses on, dude.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. So, I mean, I'm wearing the collared shirt for God's sakes. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, obviously every generation has its benefits, which, like Patrick said, does propel the world forward because that's just how how it's going throughout history. One thing I do want to say though is that the instant gratification sort of aspect of today's society, I do think there's pluses in the fact that you can get information quickly, which does make life easier in some very practical ways. But I think it also has sort of dampened the need for more intensive research in general and knowledge. So, for example, so I have Patrick has ton of cars, but the car that I have that I really focus on, it's a 1993 RX-7. And it's over 30 years old now.
Is it this one in the video right here?
That one.
Okay.
Yes, that one. Yes. So I have a 93 RX-7, and the thing is, it's a very, it's an old car now.
Right.
So it requires a lot of love, attention, and so a lot of the information that I need to address that car, fix that car, it's a 30-year-old car. It's on the forums, right? I could go into a forum and search, and I find the things I need because the tuning technology has changed dramatically in that time, obviously. A lot of people still on the PFC, but tuning technology has changed dramatically. But when it comes to just the basic nuts and bolts of the car, it just hasn't changed, right? So you find that, I mean, an example I give is that you find a lot of people on Facebook, which has basically replaced the forums now.
Right, 100%,
you see people on Facebook like typing things in like, what oil should I use? Or like, what should I like? They'll ask these questions, and it's like, bro, these cars, like, if you just did a little searching, you would find like the answer to your question. So, and a lot of people comment that too, saying like, hey, like, you're asking like, how do I put a rotary engine together or something like that? That's obviously more technical, but you can find videos on that, or there's people in the community, maybe even your local community, who can help you do that. And when you're asking these questions, it kind of, to older guys, it kind of like makes us take a step back, like, whoa, like you're asking these questions that have been answered,
stuff we didn't have back then, like, so it's like
like we've like, so I think on the positive, the information's out there. So this time humanity has never had more access to information than we do now. Like, you can find anything, but the issue is, I think that there's too much of like just looking at the top level of the search and being like, okay, I guess this is the answer, as opposed to going a little bit further in the history, like you said, and you're referencing, history. I was a political science major, so I'm really passionate about the history. Though I do thank you so much for you putting your life on the line for the country. But
that's all good. That's all good. I just bought car parts with all the money, man.
but the money didn't come easy though, I guess. But ultimately, it's just a matter of I think it's important, and like Patrick said, one thing that we would love for this event to and what we're doing our best to have this event convey is not only for people to have a good time, obviously, and Patrick is, with me doing my part, Patrick doing his part, especially ensuring that the event goes well. We know that people are going to enjoy it, but we also want people to understand the importance of the history. Why is this gentleman coming here? Who is this gentleman? Because frankly, there are a lot of young people who do not know who he is. And so that we want to make sure that people understand the significance of that. So I'm going to stop talking because I can yap, and Patrick, feel free if you want to fill in with anything.
Well, I'm gonna to continue Jeff's thought. The key is to understand where you're going and where you are now. You have to understand your past, right? And that's the purpose of history. History is there to record and also to teach, and also, as you had said before, that we don't make the same mistakes that we did moving forward, right? And that is the same for the car community. When I started, how I got into cars is I bought a 280Z for $400, and I took it to college. It was my second year of college, and I'll tell you about the first year car. That was a Rotary, actually. Being Jamaicans, we love Rotary. And, I didn't know anything about a piston engine at the time. I was 18, and my uncles were always into rotaries. And here I go, I got this, inline six engine, not knowing anything about it, and it started misfiring. So I took it to a shop across the tracks from my school, and the guy says, "Oh, it's $400 to fix." A college student coming from Brooklyn, where do I have $400? Back in the 80s. Fast forward, I had a teacher who was into cars. I told him what was going on, and he said, "Hey, no. He said, take it to my guys in Port Jefferson. They'll look at it, and they'll fix it." I said, "Okay, sounds good." I took it to them. I got a phone call from them in my dorm the next day. "Hey, so your boot is broken. The boot is $40, and sit down for this. Labor back then was $40 an hour."
Wow.
So they said it's half an hour to change it. So it was $40 to fix my 1978 280Z versus $400. And that's where knowledge is key.
Wow.
You took it to someone that was knowledgeable and honest, and they fixed it versus someone that was just in it for the money.
Right.
Knowledge is key. Ever since that point, that's where I was introduced to Chilton's, Haynes, because these are what you started to now read. Fast forwarding to what you and Jeff alluded to about all that information is now at your fingertips.
Yep.
But the key is not just having the ability to access the information, but also having the skills or acquiring the skills to do it. A lot of us are do-it-yourselfers, but not everybody's a do-it-yourselfer, but you should at least be educated.
Right.
And I think the difference between our generation and the generation that is here now, and hopefully a generation that we could influence, the difference is we do it. We like to read and then, hey, okay, let me go do it. And if it breaks, this is the key. We have a buddy down around the corner or a lifeline that we could call and say, "Yo, I'm doing this, but I'm stuck." And you're, "Oh, don't worry about it. I'll come over. I got you, and I'll show you." And the buddy comes and he sits in and he says, "Yeah, you got to take this bolt and do that bolt." And then, boom, it's done, and you're back rolling, and all of you are going out Friday night, Saturday night cruising. I find that this generation, they tend to just want to buy and have someone build, which is also okay. As a shop owner, you're as a shop owner.
Yeah.
We love those people. But the key thing is that there's a core group that are hardcore enthusiasts that knows, and then you have the group that just wants to get it done. We have to influence the kids that if you're a true car enthusiast, it's not just about looking at the beautiful machine in front of you, but also understanding everything that goes in it. And whether you're show or go, you want to be able to understand all the aspects of it and move forward. And it's not just having the information at your fingertip, but it's diving into it.
Yeah.
A lot of times you hear kids at shows talk, and being an old fogey, you're just like,
yeah, you just listen.
What?
Yeah. I'm putting cams in the 13B right now. Like, yeah, cool, man. What cam? What size cam you putting in there, man? It's like, yeah, or the GTR Mustang guy back in the day.
And that's what it is. So the information is there, but execution of the information that you get is what differentiates us from this generation, but is what we now, as you would want to call us, the old fogies, we have to influence the new kids to say, hey, it's not just about going on YouTube and watching a video or going to a car. If you're a true car enthusiast, to keep it going, you have to be factual, you have to be knowledgeable, and you also have to get dirty every once in a while. And that's it.
Yeah, man, it's definitely the truth right there. Like, I mean, one thing I picked up on in the car world is like a lot of us came from computers or BMX or like extreme sports and computer guys. Like for me, computers is what I did like 96, 97. I started taking stuff apart, and then that's why tuning and wiring and schematics, man, like that part of where everybody hate and fear. Like I love wiring because it's like you're redirecting power, and the next you got a V8 in the S13 or LS in the RX-7, like Jeff's gonna do here soon. And
whoa,
with the
I gotta go.
when you got the Rebel LS,
Blasphemy.
Well, yeah, man, it's like that's the stuff right there. Like you say, back in the day, I remember going to the east side to get the motherboard, the west side to get the RAM, the county to get the processor. Like now you go on Newegg or Tiger Direct and you click and drag and drop, or you just buy pre-built. Like me, I build computers, but now it's no point. I can go spend $500 for a brand new computer built that can run virtually anything now. And with the builds now, man, a lot of the things wiring specialties, guys I'm dealers for, you go in there, you buy the ECU, now you can buy the cold packs, now you can buy this. It's all cluster buys. And then what sucks, unfortunately, is the Bezos effect where everybody's trying to go on Amazon and they think this is real stuff. This is worse than eBay back in the day. This is counterfeit stuff from China that guys are trying to bring to the shop. And I don't like people bringing hamburger meat to my restaurant to get it cooked. I supply the stuff. You know what I mean? So and that just rules out fake things and everything. So the biggest thing now, for me, I feel is there's like too much information. You don't know what's true. Then you got AI now, and then you got the plethora of parts and counterfeiting and stuff like that now, which wasn't an issue back in the 90s. And yeah, that's a problem now, man. So like guys got these half-hearted builds. They think the builds are more capable than what they are. They're like, let's put it on a dyno. It makes 280 horsepower, not 500, and things like that, man. So that's the biggest thing I see with the guys that are 23 to 25 is they get that loan for $15K to buy the GTR, and they don't have $30K to bring that GTR back up to code. And I'm like, hey, man, the bare minimum for this overhaul is going to be $12K, and this is like, I'm not trying to like take your life savings, and if you went to top secret, that would be like $20K. If they in 2-year waiting list. So when it comes to young guys in the scene, I just think me personally, so guys get my idea, I just think is we're in a point where it's like I never thought we'd be here. Whereas there's too much information, there's too many options. And back in the day, we had a buddy. Everybody had a buddy that had a fast car, right? That you would say, oh, my buddy Jeff had this car, but there was no videos and proof. But now it's like, bro, if you ain't got videos or images of it, it don't exist. It just doesn't. So you can no longer do that anymore, man.
Yeah.
One of the key things that you alluded to, and I'm going to go back to
frozen a little bit.
When I first started my shop, the shop in 2001. I actually just partnered up with a buddy who had a shop already. And one thing I realized is going back to Import Tuner, Turbo Magazine, Super Street, they would feature all these great cars, and then they would tell you, oh, here is the list of mods that they did, and here's what they got out of it. And they would never give you the whole story. Right. And I'll say probably because you can't fit the whole story of an engine build in 1 or 2 articles, right? The problem now with that is these kids would come to the shop and they'd be like, hey, I want 400 horsepower. Now we're talking back in the 90s, right? Or the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s.
ROM tuning.
I want 400 horsepower from a Honda a Honda B series or a Honda D series. And you're like, you know what you have to spend for that? Oh, and they whip out the Super Street magazine. But he just did this, and that. And I said, really?
Yeah.
I said, really? I said, so you take your car, you go do what everything said in the magazine, then throw it on a dyno and let me know what horsepower you get. Okay? And it's what, again, going back to what you said, all the information out there, you have sometimes people that chase clout, that want to say, okay, I have a buddy that has this horsepower car, he did this, and that. And you and I as a technician reading that is like, okay, that's not going to work.
Right.
Not at all.
Right.
Okay, like guys would tell me, oh, I made 1,000 horsepower in a stock 2J. No, you didn't. Absolutely not. And if you did, how long did it last before it blew?
Sustained. That's the key word, sustained power.
Exactly. So, and I think it's again the kids just wanting to get that clout, get that, as Jeff said, that fast recognition,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to really just putting the work in, which is what we did back then.
Mm-hmm.
And not to take away, there's a lot of kids nowadays that are putting in the work, that are doing their own builds, that are showcasing stuff, that is doing the time to do the research. And those are the ones that we want to encourage to come up, be verbal, step out of your comfort zone, and just really, engage other people and challenge other people to do the same.
Yeah, I just wanted to interject really quickly too, because it's funny we're talking about the things that we don't that we think some of the younger generation could do better, but on the other hand, it's great that we still have, and it's about education, because it's great that we still do have young people who are interested in cars, and even though they may not be on the right sort of, okay, not all of them, some of them may not be right on the right path, they may just want to chase numbers, etc.
Let's go and call it a takeover, guys, man. Just you trying to beat around the bush.
Well, that's a whole other that's a whole other conversation.
Oh boy, here we go.
That's it. I mean, obviously, short answer is that takeovers are obviously a scourge on the car community in society. But in general, when it comes to young people, well-meaning young people in the car scene, we definitely absolutely want to, of course, foster and encourage them and to help them learn, because, when we were younger, we made some mistakes, or my dad would say, like, hey, what are you doing? That's not maybe how you do that. You should do it this way. Because with electric cars coming out, which, daily drivers have no issue with electric cars. I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to go on this big anti-electric car thing. Personally, it's just not my idea of fun in the car, personally. I like the sound. I like the smell. I don't care about, being the super fastest, whatever. I just want to enjoy the feel of a car. But it's great that we do have young people who still are into the gasoline-powered cars and the enjoyment that we have. It's just a matter of that part of the generation that is doing really well in building things. We obviously want to encourage them, like Patrick said, and those who are maybe still learning and still on that sort of curve of trying to figure things out, we want to ensure that they're getting the proper education so that we can keep this culture going in the future.
100%, man. And again, guys who tune in, I mean, most guys who made it to this point, thank you for listening, stuff like that. But it's not old guys bash. It's just for, again, some of the guys that are younger on the channel. Normally, I guess Lex is older than me, so Lex, we kind of go on that stuff a little bit. And it's a common thing, man. Again, we are definitely happy. One thing that's definitely gonna, I guarantee you, and I mean, if you guys could talk to some kids there and kind of do the thing, hey, what do you want to do when you grow up, blah blah blah. I guarantee you, there's gonna be at least one to three kids that's gonna go to your event, and they're gonna be future FD drivers because they went to that event, attended that event. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't look at, man. Like, that one event is like, it's if you look at the grand scheme of things, you look at one thing that keeps me kind of sane every day is when that picture of the size of the Earth, and then you got the next planet that's bigger than that, and then when you get to it, the Earth's like the size of a pea, and it's like, man, the problems are really not that big when you look at it. But this one event that's going to happen, somebody's going to go there, and it's going to be not somebody, multiple people are going to go to that event. It's going to be life changing, man, for a lot of people there. Unfortunately, their finances are going to be ruined because they're going to start buying car parts, cars, blah, blah, blah. You're going to ruin their life. But it's better to buy that than to spend it on drugs. That's my personal opinion. So,
absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely. We can agree with that. Yeah.
Say, better car parts than drugs.
Yeah. Yep. So my boys
got the car parts back.
Yeah, my boys they got dirt bikes and everything. It's like, I told my wife, like, look, all the stuff that these kids in Japan, one people you think about Japan, living here, is bullying is a big thing, and people get depressed and suicides and all that stuff like that. But that's when you're idle. That's when you don't have stuff to do. Like, I mean, with me, between my customer clients, my own personal projects, I'm pretty much, I got enough work for the next 5 to 6 years, man. Straight. You know what I mean? And that maybe underselling it a little bit, and maybe I'll sell some cars to reduce that time, because gotta reduce. I don't have Paul Walker money to to put all that money to the cars, man. But
neither do we.
Yeah, what I'm saying though with that, man, is I with this event, kind of roll it back to that, man. There's going to be somebody there, and again, man, it would be kind of cool if you could, with the parents' permission, like, video one of the kids, and maybe that kid will literally be in prospect within, could be 8 because they're 14 now. You could do it, so it could be within like 7 years, depending on how old they are. They could be running around pro spec, and it's like because of the event, they met Tsuchiya. Tsuchiya is getting older. God willing, he'll be around longer. But people are life happens. But again, this video I got playing right here for your young bucks out there, Drift Bobble. I watched this thing 1,000 times. I went through 2 DVDs because I watched it so many times. I scratched it, had it on tape, and now you can watch it on YouTube here for free. And everything that he literally all the tracks that he drifted at, I drifted all the tracks. So when he said you're going to BCU and you get that weird feeling where your equilibrium is over here, it literally is what he said. You get that corner is so sharp that the car is here and your body is over there. And the first time you do it, you're like, whoa, what's going on? So I drifted all the tracks that's on the Drift Bobble, which is a Xbox achievement. And then again, kind of going back again, guys, I got my pro license or certified by Tsuchiya, man. So for me, man, when I seen the thing happen, man, regardless of what any Japanese people say, because I will, for the guys who don't know out there, Tsuchiya is a businessman. He's Japanese, so they're very kind of like, they don't say what they mean and blah blah blah. Tsuchiya's been in the game for a long time. His time is important. He's an older guy. He doesn't want to waste the last days of his life wasting time. So again, I know what you guys dealt with, and there was some terms and conditions that had to be met before he would sign on to it. Don't have to go into that because that's private stuff. But if he's giving you guys his time, rest assured, guys that are looking to work with Jeff and Pat here in the future, they got their stuff together, man. Because Tsuchiya's, essentially, validating both of them even further. And with that, man, again, it's going to be a cool thing. And there again, so the guys that are out there who hear things about Tsuchiya or whatever and blah blah blah, the thing about it, man, in Japan, he knows what he wants to do, and he's like, hey, I want to do this. I don't want to do that. In Japanese, tend to suck the air through their teeth, and they want to be like, mate kudasai or shota mate kudasai, I'll get back to you. He's like, yes, no. And Japanese don't know how to handle that. So as a result, some Japanese don't particularly care for Tsuchiya's son, but that's more of their issue, not his problem. So this kind of, to put it out there, no holds barred. It is what it is. Not trying to be drama and start drama and stuff like that, but that he left D1 a while ago, and there was a lot of stuff behind the scenes that I learned. I don't even want to bring it up, but there's things that went on behind the scenes where he was like, essentially it wasn't pure. The purity of it was going away, and the clout was coming in, and he didn't like that. He wanted the best driver to win. The D1 sponsors wanted their guy to win because XYZ is on the car. This guy is a sponsor. And then Yakuza is real. They have money tied up into things and things like that. And this is public knowledge for some guys out there. And he was like, yeah, I'm out, dude. Once they start coming in and getting greedy, he was like, I'm out of here. I didn't sign up for this. See you guys later, man. So that's for guys who wonder why Tsuchiya disappeared. Some people are not, they got morals and values. Even today, believe it or not. And when things don't align, for me, I've turned down thousands of dollars with my business, and I never thought I would turn down money. And then the guy wanted to do it a certain kind of way. I'm like, hey, dude, you take your $15K and go somewhere else. It's not worth my time, and I don't want to have that issue, man. So, tangent. Go ahead, Pat.
One of the things that I like about what's going on, and I think it's an exciting occurrence for both Jeff and I, is that a lot of the drivers that are signed up are not professional drivers. We have a few professional drivers from Pro Spec that came on board, but these are grassroots drifters from the various different programs here in the East Coast. Evergreen Drift, Gamblers, obviously, is a big one. Club Loose, and Wall has their own little Friday night drift program. So these are drivers that are skilled, grassroots drivers, which brings it back to the root of how drifting started with Tsuchiya-san and how it evolved. So we're happy that we're getting, we would be excited if we got a lot of the top name drivers to come out, but we're happy that it's like the grassroots drivers. So Tsuchiya-san is going to have the ability to judge a guy that is, learning, developing his skills, and someone that is at a pro spec level. And I think him being there and these guys being able to get a score sheet from the king is encouraging and motivating for them.
Mm-hmm.
And we like the fact that it is a pro-am style event, which is for everybody. So every budget can compete in this event.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone basically can compete in this event. And that's, I think, a testament to Tsuchiya-san's beginning and the fact that he has, through the efforts of Jeff and, due diligence of Jeff, is able to come here and now present that for not only the drivers to see, but the fans to see.
Right. And it's crazy about this, Jeff. And Jeff could definitely speak on this, man. This kind of seems like 2003 all over again when those guys first. Remember that? Because actually, I learned something from Benson and Nadine Sue. They had guys on. If you guys familiar with the Silly Podcast, they always go back in history. And I didn't know. I learned from their podcast. I didn't know that they went to Hawaii first, but they didn't make that big. They went to Hawaii back in like 2000, 99, but it wasn't organized as good as the mainland. And so everybody thought the 2003 when they went to Erringdale was when it really popped, because that's where Benson won at the first D1 search. And, but it was like, nah, bro, it was 3 years before that. But again, that's speaking to, again, organization and events, things like that. If the flyers are not there, if the things are not there, it's so much going into, like, anybody could put on an event and say, hey, this day show up. You can even know it on Facebook. You literally click on events and like all these events come up, and it's like ice cream eating contests at Jerry's house, and it's like, that's not, you can even buy tickets to it, but there's so much stuff that goes on, man. And then Tsuchiya comes there again. So these guys that are going to for your event, and that's what I'm happy about. This event that's going to take place in 2 weeks, September. What date is it? September.
Literally
September
1 week, like basically 1 week.
So it's like September 7th and 8th, or 7. What is it?
Yeah.
7th and 8th.
September 7th and 8th. Yes.
Okay. So and that's so like 2 days. Okay, I was like, cause dude, I was saying you guys are gonna fill all this into 1 day. I was like, dude, that's a lot of stuff, man. So 2 days, got 2 days going on. So if you're working on the 7th, you can get there on the 8th. So no excuse going to get there. And with that, man, what I was saying really quickly on that, because I definitely want to give you guys a floor more, is this event is going to be somebody's 2003. So more stuff, man. There's so much history, dude. Wall, New Jersey was my first ever pro event attended. I interviewed Alex Pfeiffer back in the day. He was driving the RSR S2000, Casper Canoe, S15. Keiichi was like 14 years old.
Back.
I got Zone on my DVD, man. I got the thing right there, man. So man,
You're
all those guys were there, man. I think Sammy Hubernett, all those guys, man. So Wall, New Jersey was the first actual event. I did the Falcon show off at FedEx. That was the first one there, the Falcon drift show off, and that was Ryan Hampton and all those guys. And all East Coast guys, Brian, back when Brian, because people don't know Brian in Mid-Atlantic, those guys have been. Brian is old. He looks young, but Brian is like 50s, man. And those, kind of like us guys, we're getting up there, man. So this is going to be somebody's 2003. Long story short, this event, and again, man, it's going to be kind of cool, man. If you could see, 15 years down the line, somebody has a YouTube channel, and they say, as a result of this event on the 7th of 8th, this is what ruined my life, or quote unquote ruined my life, or what I mean, it started my love and everything, man. So that's awesome, man. I'm definitely happy for you guys. And then before we get on any other tangents, before not keep you guys too much longer, 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock there, is there anything else for the event that you guys both would like to point out, or anything leading up to the event that you'd like to talk about, or just anything, man? Floor is your guys'.
I wanted to just jump in really quickly on the Tsuchiya topic right before we went to this. So obviously Patrick and I aren't really, informed on the intricacies of the Japanese business environment, So
you can talk to me about that, man.
but one thing I can say for sure is based off of my interactions with Tsuchiya-san, as well as me and Patrick's interactions with K1 Planning, is that one thing I do appreciate about Tsuchiya's team, Mr. Tsuchiya, as well as his manager and the folks involved, is that, we really appreciate directness, because, we're doing some serious stuff, right? So it's like, hey, like, would you like things to be like this or like that? we like yes and no answers,
Right, 100%.
because like we're putting on a very detailed program, but there's a program which is extremely involved, as Patrick was describing, but also, Mr. Tsuchiya is going to be in the United States. He's flying in. There's all sorts of particulars,
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that he's comfortable. We want to make sure that they were comfortable throughout the whole process. So as far as them being direct, we've gotten the chance to really understand how they were from a business perspective. And speaking for myself, and I think Patrick likely feels very much the same way. The directness and the straightforwardness is very much appreciated, because we want to make sure they're happy, and
Right.
we don't want any ambiguity, and they don't provide it, and we're very grateful for that.
Man. Awesome, man.
And I will further what Jeff said and agree with that. I did work for Sony for the better part of 10 years, and I did deal with our Japanese counterpart, and I'm familiar with the style of business, and I have to say, yes, I mean, the directness removes the guesswork, and that's what you need to move forward efficiently. And so far, through communications with Jeff and K1 Planning, we've been very yes, no. And if it's a maybe, it's a maybe, but figure it out and let us know that it's good.
Right.
And that, again, to me, is paramount in putting on an event like this. We have people coming from all over the United States to see this event, and we have to make sure that it's worth every penny of what they're spending, which compared to other shows, Jeff and I will concur that we're actually extremely affordable. I don't want to use the other word. We're extremely affordable, as Jeff and I found out, because Jeff and I go to other events to promote this event, right? We're not just, sitting and, Jeff has been out to at least 2 or 3 events. I've been out to at least 2 or 3 events, major events, and we walk around, we talk to people. I have to say, I've seen Jeff in action, and he's the superstar of that 100%.
Oh, thanks, Patrick.
But we're out there doing the footwork, and, compared to other events, you're getting your bang for your buck. Like, 100%. You're getting a show, a drift competition, meeting a celebrity/legend, and then having a safe environment for your kids of all ages to come and enjoy. As Jeff said, we're all kids. Jeff kids are a little younger. My daughters are, college age. I'm not sure where your kids are, but you have kids. You want to be able to grab your kids of all age and say, hey, let's go check out something that daddy likes, and maybe you like it too, as you're growing up. But you want to know that, my kids are going to be safe. I'm not going to have a bunch of moron.
What's the takeover show?
We're going to see things that's going to encourage and motivate the young minds to be like, wow, car stuff is cool. I want to do that.
Yeah, man.
And that's where creating this event comes in place, and working with the guys in Japan, where it's, yes, we're good. No, we're not good. If you're going to do this, then just let us know. It's just that yes, no, binary communication is key to making this event extremely successful. And, knock on wood, we are putting the work in to make it so.
Awesome, man.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I want to add one other thing too about events in general and the importance of the family-friendly environment, because like Patrick said, we all have kids, and we want to make sure it's an environment that the kids enjoy. Another thing too is that, one thing that we've been hearing is that there's a lot of events. I mean, there's a lot of events out there. Every weekend people are sort of having to choose where they go, and like you said, we don't all have Paul Walker money. I mean, I don't even know if I have, John Walker down the street money, to be honest. So, it's just a matter, but the thing is, when you go to these events, I mean, you're paying for admission, you're getting your car ready, you're et cetera. And that's if you're just attending an event. I mean, if you're a drifter, I mean, we're talking about many, much higher costs in terms of preparing your car. So one thing that Patrick really looked to set out with, and then in our partnership, with this event is that we want people to know that we're really trying to do something different, and we really want people to know that, you have Tsuchiya-san coming. That's history. That's a wonderful opportunity. You have these drifters coming as well. You have the car show. I mean, you have a lot of different factors, but together, the combination of all of those different things, we think really truly makes for a unique experience that, like Patrick said, you'll truly get your money's worth out of.
Yeah. Hey, Pat, real quick, man, how many jerk chicken booths do you got there, man?
How many what?
How many jerk chicken booths you gonna have there, man?
That's another conversation.
Oh, yeah?
So we're gonna leave that alone.
Okay.
I wish I had one, but we have none.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know. But like something that you said and Jeff and I have spoken about, we're putting all our eggs in one basket, so to speak, for this event, Jeff and I. And the reason for that is because we want to create something for the future. We don't want to take away from anything that's already there, that already exists. We want to add to it.
Gotcha.
We want to add an experience to the experience that these people already have and create a nice, strong staple for the drift motorsports community to have on their calendar. And that is key, as Jeff said, to giving them a unique experience, a value experience for the family, because family is key. And that's what Jeff and I are working so hard to create with Drift Battle, and also to create an event that is truly honoring the legacy of Tsuchiya-san.
Awesome, brother. Yeah, man, it's without a doubt, man. Again, I'm kind of like I just got back from Philippines doing some events over there, and that's it's one thing, man, about I'm pretty sure we all do it, man. Like, I mean, you don't want to bother people, and you got T-Pain is doing drifting now, and blah blah blah, and it's like, man, you don't want to bother people and message them and stuff like that. But then you just message people, and then things start happening. Like, yeah, let's do it. And that's one thing I like about social media now, with the guys who use it for stuff that's not drama and fighting and arguing. Like, man, I've made so many connections. I have a thing personally where I make every week, no matter what's going on, how busy I am, I make one meaningful connection in the industry a week. That's my thing, man. And they know people, and we all like, oh, you know John, I know Tom, and now I'm within, everywhere in the world. I'm probably separated by no more than 3 or 4 people. Somebody knows somebody that knows somebody. 6 degrees of separation and stuff like that, man, which is a thing. And now when you look on the thing, when I click on Jeff's thing, like, we got probably 845 mutual friends, you know what I mean, and stuff like that. And it's wild how that goes. And you go to like events, you see people there. One thing that irritates me a little bit is you'll talk to somebody for forever online, and then when you get in that same circle, it's just like this awkwardness sometimes. Yeah, it's just like, dude, like we literally.
Jeff doesn't have that problem.
Yeah.
No, Jeff is the guy that likes everybody and everybody likes.
Yeah.
Jeff walks in. Oh, Jeff's here.
Yeah. I mean, hey, man, so he's pretty much like the Keanu Reeves of like the car community, man. Like Yeah. But for me, when you kind of going back to what Pat said about the image and stuff like that. Last year I held and this is unlikely in me, man, because I kind of stayed to myself. I hosted about 9 different events last year, man. A lot of money out. 3 of those events were on bass, where I got a live room played on bass, which is the only bass in the world that's got it played. Wow. I friended the director of the movie. Again, I didn't expect it to go from, hey, man, your movie's nice, and I seen it, to like what we did. And it's like, I guess that take your shot thing, and I'm like, yeah, whatever, dude. I don't want to message that guy. He's busy, blah, blah, blah. And then now, I'm more connected to Tsuchiya. He sent a private video up for the video that got played on bass, and it's like, not bragging and boasting, but it's like connections made that are meaningful, man. And like, for me,
absolutely,
I just want to make connections with guys going upward. No, there's enough drama out there. We got enough. Life happens to all of us, and if we sit there and think about it, man, it's not good for your mental and stuff like that. And me too, being a war vet, is like, I don't need any negative stuff to trigger anything that I went through in the past. So we got to keep it positive. Right. And anybody that's not positive has to go. So with that, man, and all the events and the way things are going now, I think is a really good time with social media used properly to put on more events. And man, I mean, for me, man, I see this being something that's going to be an annual. Do you guys think this event will be an annual thing, or just a one time, or maybe biannual for the event?
So no, we're not looking to do this one time.
Gotcha.
We are looking to do this um, multiple times. And again, I'm not going to put the cart before the horse.
Right.
I want to get through this one. This will be our learning experience, obviously. Even though I've had experience with doing shows, there's many new aspects of this show that we have to really just look at and understand the dynamics of how it works and figure out how to now take this dynamic and move it forward. So we're working diligently for the success of this event, for what it means to the people on the East Coast, and B, what it means moving forward to, like I was saying, adding to what's already there, but something solid, not a fly-by-night program,
Right.
something that is there for everyone. And again, it's really to honor what this gentleman has contributed to the forward movement of motorsports in general. Because people think of Tsuchiya-san as only drifting, but the true people that knows who he is.
Drifting is that's a side mission, man.
Exactly.
That's
a lot more
bro,
than drifting that this guy does.
Bro, that's that right there. That right there is I was just talking to a guy in the Philippines, because it's wild, man. Again, 41, and I'm not old, but you get these guys. Just Philippines is very young in the drifting, and they got their OGs there and stuff like that. But they're like in the 90s, man. Like, if it makes sense, as far as they can see the stuff, but the shipping and stuff to get it there. So they're really like they make brackets, they do this. They're doing the stuff that we did back before, Siki and blah, 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 insert name and everything. So, man, guys, I was like, the guy was saying something about this and this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, the guy was a time attack driver. And I'm like, dude, what do you do when you enter this Apex? You trail brake, you blah, blah, blah. I was like, dude, apply that same skill. You're just exceeding the coefficient of friction, and you still have a line. So when I broke it down to him, he's like, "Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was a drift." I'm like, "Dude, when we drift, the same lines you would hit in Apexes are the same lines you would hit gripping. You're just trying to go straight as possible and reduce the radius. You don't want to go. You don't want to turn. You want to go straight." So when guys, you talk about Arito, Taniguchi, and all these other guys, man, Tarzan, Yamada, and they're
Monkey
like,
Man.
yeah, they do all of them well. There's one of those things where they're better at grip circuit, but then you got those guys winning championships, and Narito kind of never had the thing, but they do NASCAR and all that stuff, man. And I'm like, bro, the drift thing was a side mission, and then it was at a point where I thought Tsuchiya was the best drift in the world. He's like, no, I'm not the best. I just started it. I just kind of put it out there because and so the guys don't know history lesson. The reason why he started is because he had such a gap on his competitors that he got bored up front, and he started doing drifting, doing these JGTC different types of group. I think N1 and group. Look it up, man. There's so many Super Taikyu, all these little acronyms. But he was so far out ahead of his competition, maybe 2 minutes ahead. He started drifting to entertain the fans, and that's where it came about. And they donned him the Drift King because he was the first of notoriety to kind of do it. And that sucks that it happens. Some dude before Tsuchiya did drifting, but we don't know who that guy is. We know Tsuchiya, and that's kind of how it works and stuff like that, man. So, yeah, man, I'm very excited for the guys that are going to meet Tsuchiya for the first time at this event. Some guys will probably follow them for years, and it's kind of one of those things, man, like where you see and do something for so long, and then you meet the person who's responsible for it. It's definitely going to be a cool feeling, man. And Pat, I'm pretty sure it'll be the same thing for you as well, man.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I just want to add one thing too really quickly about in terms of the history of drifting, yes, Tsuchiya-san is like the legend. He popularized it into the sport that we know it today. And that's one thing that we really want people to understand because there's a lot of people we talk to, like I said earlier, and Patrick and I have talked to a lot of people over the past, year or so about this opportunity, and a lot of people don't know who he is. But one important note too in terms of the history of drifting too. So Tsuchiya-san, of course, before Tsuchiya was Kunimitsu Takahashi, who Tsuchiya basically learned everything from.
Right.
But yes, basically it was from Kuni-san, who essentially basically passed the torch to Tsuchiya-san, and they together, as I'm sure you may be aware, they used to do all of the racing and etc. Le Mans. I mean, because like you said, drifting's a side mission for DK. I mean, DK won his class 2 times at Le Mans. I mean, he got second overall. Like that is like, in terms of the car world, that's top tier stuff right there.
Yeah, dude. That's like, and then the dude like you would think a guy that's literally been handed the keys to any and everything out there, from 787Bs to Porsches to Diablos to like, and it's kind of, I've experienced it a few times where a guy would just hand you the keys to his car because they've seen you drive, and I'm like, all right, dude, well, I'm not gonna put it against the wall, but cool, let me take it out. But it's cool that people regard him in that high, but then but at the same time, like we just said, it really sucks that there's some guy out there that's chasing the FD dream of being a FD pro, and they do not know who Tsuchiya is. Like, this is an FD driver who doesn't know who Tsuchiya is, and it's I don't know, man. Maybe, and then, also too, I had Jonathan Cash Hertz on, Mike Power, a few other guys that are current FD drivers, and when I asked, because they're younger, and you don't think like, oh, they 23. I'm like, hey, so who did you look up to when you? And they say stuff like, what was it, Ryan Turk? I'm like, Ryan Turk, like, how old are you? Ryan Turk, like, you're Sam Habernet. Yeah, like, they're like, Mike so they grew up seeing the FD stuff, and I will tell you, guys don't know, FD is leaps and bounds above D1 now, because D1 kind of stayed, they were where they at, and it's a whole Japanese thing where they kind of don't like change. They use a DOS box, blah, blah, blah. And FD now, Kumakubo and many guys have said, dude, you guys, it's like a proud dad, dude. We came over and showed you guys what's up in 2003. Now you guys are running it. The technology, the cars, the teams, the sponsors, the money Ford puts out, they've exceeded it. And then you got Drift Games, all those guys in New Zealand, Mad Mike, all these guys, James Dean come over. So it's crazy that it started from 2003. Tsuchiya, those guys come over in a group. They show the drifting. And now they're not the guys anymore. So it's like, that's a wild. So now there's this disdain. I don't understand. I've seen it a few times where it's like this FJDM culture that's kind of, if you guys probably seen it before, where they don't like guys who worship Japan, so to speak.
Interesting.
I don't know. Have you guys seen that before? Or
I haven't experienced that.
Me neither.
Right.
Yeah, I haven't experienced that, but what I have experienced is a type of shift in giving credit.
Right.
And again, I'm going to go back, because I always say this: to know where you're going and to understand where you are, you must understand where you came from. Right. So your history will dictate your present situation, and both of those will dictate how you go to the future. When I talk to a lot of guys in promoting this event, and I've been doing drifting with Englishtown for I want to say since 2000.
Okay.
Right in the middle of COVID is when I started working with them, but I've been into drifting pretty much all my life.
Right.
The crazy part about it is, I go there and I talk to a lot of the drifters, especially with this event coming up. And they, like you said, a lot of them don't know who Keiichi Tsuchiya is.
Right.
And when you tell them, oh, Drift King, they allude to Tokyo Drift.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, he was in it, but he wasn't the one that you think is.
Right.
And you're saying to them, okay, well, if you're into this sport, do some research. Do some research, understand. But as you said, the technology of, they didn't have angle kits back in 2002, 2003.
Cut springs and 15-inch tires.
Right, when Von Gittin won the first, I guess the second D1 here.
Yeah.
He was the first American to win in an American vehicle. These cars were just using basic handling, camber techniques, mathematics. They didn't have all this suspension geometry, aiding equipment to drift, and the horsepower of what these guys were drifting with back then versus what they're drifting with now is a notable difference. So when you talk to these guys and you say, hey, yeah, this guy, oh, what was he drifting on? A86. Oh, he only had 110 horsepower. And I'm like, think of the volume of the statement that you just said.
Right.
He only had 120 something horsepower and is able to do the same thing you're doing now with an angle kit and 400, 500 horsepower.
Yeah.
So think of what you just said. Yes, he
No
did it
e-brake.
Yeah.
making 120 horses that came from factory with 86. Think about it. Right? Am I wrong?
No, man, that's the thing about it, man. It's the man. I was talking to a guy at the Philippines, man, and he was saying, "Oh, if I had this much X amount of power, blah blah blah." I'm like, bro, I was like, I posted a video up. You probably seen Jeff of me driving a Carina, and 4AG, wide open throttles, kind of like riding a two-stroke dirt bike. You're wide open throttle on it because you can't lose power. You don't have horsepower. The new four-stroke bikes, you can literally get to the bottom of the hill and jump 30 feet because I'm riding dirt bikes now, so that's like a relating factor. But back then, man, like you had to drive the car, and I hate to say it, man, a lot of these new cats, man, again, sounding like an old guy, put a lot of these old cats in a Hachiroku, they would not be able to drive it straight up and down. And I want to actually, and with that, I'm actually going to do my own event here. I'm going to get a Hachiroku that I don't mind smashing up. I'm going to actually, during the course of it's going to be of course you bring your own car. Then I'm going to have a little game inside the competition. Who can drive this Hachiroku the best? No warm ups. You just strap in, adjust your seat, adjust the wheel, and you go. That's it. The tires will be warm, so you're not going to understeer stuff like that. And it'll be a fun thing to see. Hey, man, look, this is how I did in Hachiroku. One thing Tsuchiya said, man, in one of his mini videos, if you can drive a Hachiroku, like you can drift anything, man. And when I drove my first Hachiroku, the fact that I was able to link the course, I was like, bro, I felt like I arrived because Tsuchiya said, if you can drive this car, and it's valid, man. If you cannot drive that car and you call yourself a drifter, you're not as good as you think you are. And you need to go back and put in a drift bobble, and revisit all those techniques and everything, man. So I think that would be kind of cool, man, and things. So is he gonna? Do you guys have a car for him already set up, or he's just gonna drive whatever on a day?
So
like a little demo car, something like that.
So we won't get into the car story of why he's got these cars, but we're setting up a BMW E46.
Okay. With LS in it.
Huh?
With an LS in it?
It's actually a stock BMW E46, stock power, just all the stuff that it needs to drift. And then we have an IS 300.
Okay.
That is fully drift with a 2J that's setting up for him. So people are going to get to see him drive something that's basically stock and see the magic he could create with it, and then see what he can do with something of a modern style setup, that the pro drivers are using, and see what he could do with that. So both cars are representing an era of the style of drifting. And he's, I'm sure he's going to shred in both. Yeah. Baby.
But I guarantee you, like, knowing his style, he's going to like the NA car more because it's just like, it's not the turbo stuff and blah, 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 the sudden power. Because in one of his other videos, he doesn't really care for, like, the big, jolty, he prefers to drive the car. And, like, driving a Hachiroku 4AG or a low horsepower car is one of the best feelings, man. Because, number one, your fuel lasts longer because you don't have a big turbo. And the engine's not under this stress from the turbo and a lot of this heat. So a 4AG, you can go out there and literally just destroy and drive home and stuff like that, man. So it's his style is from him. He does the demos and everything. His style, and when he judges, he doesn't particularly care for like the big angle and all that stuff like that. I know for a fact. Like he's an old school guy. He can't change that, man. And so if you got that really fast, high angle, stuff like that, man, you would get more points if the guys watching out there who are going to be driving. speed, man. Like he doesn't care about the big smoke, the speed, how you get to the angle, how you fill the zone and stuff like that. He cares about the speed because you can actually go really, really fast and not make a lot of smoke. And a lot of guys are going really slow and they got that deep angle and they make a lot of smoke because you're actually going really slow. So that's actually a misconception about how that works. And then you got, everybody's gonna damn me to hell. You got RTR cars which make a lot of power and a lot of smoke and they're going fast. They make 1,000 horsepower, 1,200 horsepower. That's a different story, man. So we're not talking about those type of cars, man. But I think it's gonna be a cool deal, man.
Yep. I'm excited for it. I know Jeff is excited for
Absolutely.
it. To have his buddy in his homeland.
Yeah.
So it should be fun.
Yeah,
should be definitely a fun 2 days, lots of stress, lots of headaches, but at the end of the day, lots of smiles, lots of laughs, and lots of memories.
Funny thing right there,
Absolutely.
two guys that were just in the scene right there. You had Ueno and Nomura. They were I was with those guys last week in Philippines. They were drifting. They were judging the event, and again, not any correlate that, but again, another thing there. Then also to be and there was some weird because they don't know if I speak Japanese, but I'm a business owner in Japan, so they know who I am because I'm a black dude with a pink mohawk. It's not many of us here. And to have those guys as well, man,
Really? Not a lot of pink mohawks in Japan?
Man, no, it's not a lot of them, man. So, but to have Ueno and Nomura, which they are, Vertex and Udez, depending on who you talk to, Udez. To have those guys are set. They've established who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Nomura's son, Keiichi is his name. Nomura's son is like the second coming of him, same goofy style, and he's an awesome drifter. That's crazy to have those guys that I literally watched, coming up, and now we're just business associates and judging events, and have Robbie there. And Robbie's another great guy. I'm pretty sure you guys know Robbie Nishida, one of the most unsung heroes of the drift community, man. He's always all about the progression and stuff like that, man. So again, good times, good vibes again for the guys who watching this for the first time. Again, I've been away for a while, man. You see, I've been smiling this whole time, man, because again, man, this is cool stuff. Again, I'm definitely going to be involved in the future stuff and things like that. And what I could do from now is just share it out there, and for the guys who may don't know in my circle to go ahead and get out there. And it's going to be at Wall, New Jersey. It's going to be on again the 7th and 8th of September. In a couple weeks, so again, get your babysitters or bring your kids, because kids can come. And,
bring your kids, bring your kids.
You ain't gotta drop your kids off, because it's not gonna be a takeover, or or like there's no stripper poles as far as I know out there, and things
Definitely
like that.
No
poles. So yeah, man, it's gonna be a good thing, man. And again, guys, it's like we got 1 hour 40 minutes, man. Again, if you guys got anything else you want to bring up, I don't want to take up too much of your time, and also my boys will keep bugging me right here. They're getting hungry and stuff like that. So anything else you guys want to share about the event, or any thoughts, anything, man? Like, literally anything you guys want to talk about collectively, and then we can start wrapping it up, man.
I would just say, and obviously, Patrick, please feel free to fill in, but tickets are still being sold. We still have some spots available in the competition. We still have a few spots left in the car show as well.
Very few. Very few.
Yes, very few. Yeah, very few. One cool thing about the car show too, I will say, is that of course DK is going to be judging the drift competition. But the car show, he's actually going to give one award. It's going to be the DK's Choice Award, which is kind of cool. It's going to be a car that he just likes. It's not going to be like...
This is going to be Hachiroku.
maybe, right? It's his choice. It's his choice. And by the way, there's going to be a lot of them there. There's going to be a lot of them.
Hey, Jeff, again, I don't want to sound like a psychic, but I guarantee you somebody's going to get their dash signed or their car signed by Tsuchiya. If he's near the car, I guarantee you somebody's going to have the car signed by Tsuchiya.
A lot of people certainly want that, and it's something that we're managing, because it's almost like but another thing too is, so he's going to be giving out that Choice Award. But lastly, and most importantly, first of all, thank you for your time. It has been a pleasure doing this with Patrick, and obviously we have a week to go. We're still hustling. Tickets are still available. As we said, you can go to driftbattleusa.com and you can buy tickets through the link there. We're also on the Vote. If you go to our socials, so for example, at Drift Battle USA on Instagram, the link to buy tickets is there. You can follow along with information we post up there. Also, we have an event page on Facebook where we're sharing the same information, more or less, as the Instagram, the pertinent information, and that would be Drift King Drift Battle USA is the event page. So that's all I have to say. But Patrick, feel free to fill in with anything else.
Again, to reiterate what Jeff said, thank you very much for having us. It's actually a pleasure and an honor to be on your program, and
Yes.
we definitely appreciate what you've done for the event. Jeff said everything. All I'm going to say is get your butts to wall September 7th and 8th, because if you want to be part of history, don't say I should have been there.
Yeah.
Be there.
Yeah, man, that's definitely the real thing right there. A lot of I will say, I went again. Social media is a lot of pros and cons. Pros and cons for me. The way I run it, more pros. One thing is like when you you think about going to the event and then you don't go for whatever reason. You got to do whatever, and then you start seeing all the pictures the same day, because some people are uploading at the event same day. That's why Super Street and Tuner. That's why they couldn't keep up, because this is instant. Like, this is not a month after your event or 2 months after your event. Like, this is instant. Tomorrow, videos cut, all that stuff, drone footage, blah blah blah. So the next day you'll see the pictures, and you live in New York or whatever. Like, dude, you could have drove to New Jersey, went to the event. So definitely, guys, don't feel like crap because you see all these cool videos and pictures and you weren't there and you were actually really close to the event, or guys flying over. So no excuse there. Definitely get out there, guys. Support the event. And the way you support these events, man, like, more stuff's going to come up. So, I mean, there could be in the future, they could hold it in another state. Maybe it'll be in California. Maybe it'll be XYZ. Because essentially what this event is doing, for the guys who don't know, guys who are listening to this for notes, Patrick has been doing this for a long time. Jeff has been involved with some stuff. Each event you do is like a resume for the next one, because what you guys know out there for your job is what have you done for me lately. So if you've done something that's grand and spectacular in 2003, it's now 2024. You can't keep alluding back to 2023. That was a different time, blah, blah, blah. So now, MySpace was still around back then. MySpace is not around anymore, so you can't talk about that. So now this event will be a resume for these guys to show, hey, bam, this is what we did. Let's do this in Indianapolis at the Indianapolis Speedway, something like that. Just stuff that could happen potentially. And, it's bigger things there. To have Tsuchiya's son sign off on this and put his stamp on it, now who's going to say no? Like, Tsuchiya is the guy. So you can literally get anybody you guys want for next time, 2 drivers, 3 drivers to come over to do this event, man. So, again, very happy for you guys. I will for sure. Again, I know you guys already got things lined up, and to be honest, I got Celesta. I definitely want to sponsor the next event to get my banner in there at some form and fashion and things like that. So with that, I always like to kick it with business guys out there. One thing you could do to make yourself all over the place, man, is get with these events, man. Pretty much I don't know of any event that would turn down sponsor money, even if it's a minor sponsor, man, to get a little logo on there, on that flyer. Like, you definitely want to kick out some money to get your stuff out there, man, because you can spend so much money on, like, for example, I don't pay for Facebook ads because I did it before, and I don't like, it's kind of a waste. I'd rather give that $500 to these guys, and they could do whatever they want to do with it, and I get a little blip on their flyer or whatever, and that means more to me, because that flyer is forever and things like that. So any business out there that's looking to grow, the last 3 events I drifted in, I sponsored it. So my logo is on every car, even the guys that don't like me. My logo is on their car. So it's like, you can't cut my logo out the flyer. It's on the door. So every car in that pit has my Pinku Style logo on it, and I paid XYZ dollars to Tony, and he made it happen, man. So definitely get involved out there, sponsor these events, make it happen, because what you're doing out there, we all talk about the world and how it is and how the takeovers are happening, blah, blah, blah. These guys just didn't meet the right people yet, and they don't have the right avenues, so that's why they're doing what they're doing. We street raced back in the day, but we also had an order about it. We did it at nighttime, 12 o'clock, desolate areas, not right in the intersection. These guys really don't care or they don't know anybody. So somebody that does takeovers are going to go to this event on the 7th or 8th, see real drifting, and be like, hey, man, this is cool. I want to drift now. And you never know where it's going to go from there, man. So these events are important for the current state of things and also for the future to make it happen, man. So it's like wild that we're curating the future, man. We're like, 40s and 50s and stuff like that, man, and all our friends are in these age groups, and we're really setting the tone. And then these videos we're doing, hopefully YouTube's server is really good. 50, 60 years from now, we're gone onto a different place. Our voices are still here. Our kids can tune into it. Our grandkids, and that's one thing that's different. Like, I was talking to somebody. All my grandparents are passed away, and there's no video. There's no recording. So I know how they sound, but my sons will never know how my mom's mother sound or my granddad. So now this stuff is cool. That's why these podcasts, it only get maybe 500 views, but I don't care, dude. Somebody's going to find this podcast 20 years from now, and we'll be where we're going to be at, but our voices are permanent, man, as long as the servers are up. So that's just cool.
Absolutely.
So sorry, man, I get on a rant like that, and I don't talk to people a lot. So
no, that's the thing. And another thing I really wanted to add too, Donald, it has been such a pleasure to get to know you. And like Patrick said, thank you so much for this opportunity. Everything that you do, and hopefully we have a chance to talk more in the future, because everything because I know you wanted to promote the event for this, but I've been holding back. I wanted to ask you so many questions, but I understand the goal of this. But ultimately, when it comes to your business and how you promote yourself, and how you've really made a name for yourself in Japan, and how you're growing your business and going traveling, etc. It's really an inspiration to me. So I just want to let you know that we definitely appreciate the opportunity, but you're someone that I also really, really, really admire as well. So appreciate you, bro. Thank you.
Thank you guys, man, because that right there is to be honest, man, even it's wild. I'm in Japan, literally outside in front of me. There's like 8 Sylvias and Skylines, and dude, like what I'm doing currently, which this 24 years ago, we were sitting in a huddle watching Initial D and all this stuff, man, and it was not imaginable to literally. I was like, man, I would like to go to the track, and literally, if I want to tomorrow, I can go to the track, and I'm going on Sunday. I go to the track Sunday, Saturday, and have the whole track to myself, and do all the stuff I've seen on Best Motoring, like that. But again, it was a thought, and it just, you got to put stuff into action, man. So with you guys, again, man, right back at you, you and Pat, man, there's a lot of thoughts and everything, but the difference between us and everybody else is action, man. So there was more action than talking. And a lot of guys out there, I think, especially young guys now, because I think their image is really inflated now, because things are kind of easier to do now. It's easier to make 1,000 horsepower than it was back, when you pull out the Super Street magazine, like there was a lot of stuff on that magazine that wasn't listed, and that guy didn't know that when he brought that magazine to Patrick. But we now know, like, you can literally go to Naprick or go to whatever and get 1,000 horsepower package and literally make 1,000 horsepower on the first dyno pass. Easy. The GTX ball bearing turbos are light years away from the T04Z turbos and all those old turbos that made cool sounds, but they were like big, slow 1.96 AR turbos. You know what I mean? So it's crazy, man. One thing about the Rotary, you notice you don't hear a lot of Rotary people like bashing Rotaries now, because the Haltech, Link, Adaptronic, Motec, the ECU technology is caught up to the engine. That stock ECU really couldn't control that leading and trailing stuff that was going on. Now you got that coil pack, that whole hot thing under the rat's nest is gone. You got PRP kits for you got individual coil drivers on each port. It's crazy what guys can do now. We're not even talking about 2 rotors anymore. That's old school. We're talking about 6 rotors now. That's, you know what I mean? The technology
I'm
is
still
crazy.
talking about 2 rotors, and I will be for the foreseeable future. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, but what I'm saying though is, like, that's one thing you don't like. I kind of feared tuning rotaries back with the Power FC, because there was no like I just tuned
protections basically.
I just spun one in 10,000 RPMs the other day. It made 500 horsepower, but it was like 92. Let's bump that down. I don't know what it is. It's a Bridgeport, but I don't know what else is. I don't know if it's 3 millimeter, 2 millimeter. We don't know what's up, so I bumped it down to whatever and made power. But what I'm saying now, guys, there too, the rotary life is even better now, because the computers have safeties in it. They're more the Adaptronic, which Keiichi from Adaptronic he was pretty much swallowed by Haltech, and that's why Haltech's support for the rotary engine has went up so much. And now you throw the base map on there, you throw this on there, it starts, it runs. Those days are over where you had to get the You had your ignition map for your trailing, ignition map for your leading, and those had to be mirrored and a crossover and all that stuff. If one of those things are wrong, man, your engine's gone, man. You just lost the housing. And
I think one of the best statements I heard was an interview with Ralphie from DRT. I'm not sure if a lot of people should know who Ralphie from DRT is. And he said in the interview, he said, here's the difference between the kids nowadays and us. We got cars with 75 to 86 horsepower. If we bought a car with 96 horsepower, we were happy.
Yeah.
And then we now had to not only figure out how to drive it, but to figure out how to make it make more power. So we were doing all sorts of stuff to get the car to make over 100 horsepower.
Yeah.
Right? And then we had to learn to drive it. Right. So as we progressed with the horsepower, our driving skill level also progressed. The problem now is, and not the problem, the issue is you can go to a dealer and buy a 550 horsepower BMW.
Straight up.
A 707 horsepower Hellcat.
Right.
Okay. 1,000 horsepower Bugatti if you have that type of money.
Right.
Well, even the Corvette now, the Z01 has 1,000 now.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
Yeah.
And, what that is, but you didn't learn to drive that horsepower.
Right.
And that's the thing. So you get in these cars now with all these crazy horsepower, and the dynamics of driving these cars is totally different.
Crazy.
Now, yes, you have, traction control, have, electronic steering. You have a lot of things that help you manage the horsepower.
Right.
But that's why there's so many BMW crashes, so many Hellcat crashes, so many of these high horsepower cars that are getting totaled because the driver didn't learn to drive the car.
100%.
And one company that I'm going to say I give credit to, I don't know if any other companies do it, I just know of this one, is when you buy an M Series from BMW, they tell you it comes with a class that they fly you out to a track to teach you how to drive the car.
Yeah. Right?
Because the dynamics of driving an M class versus a standard 325 is totally different.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
That's crazy.
And that's the dynamics of what these kids have. You and I, Jeff, we had we buy our cars, at our era when we bought cars, we were like at 130, 140 horsepower, right?
Yeah.
So we didn't, like my uncle with his RX-2, we didn't even know what that thing was making.
Yeah, so it was a 12.8, right?
But now these kids go out there and they buy these high horsepower cars and they don't evolve into the driving.
Right.
And that's the key to, what's happening nowadays. The technology is there and it's just easy to jump in a car and take it to the track. BMWs off the trailers are running 11s with a little JB.
I just told a guy that I ran I remember it 13.7, 124 mile per hour. I'll never forget that because I ran it. You guys know John Shep Racing, the Talon Master.
Yeah,
I ran it. John Shepard just ran at that time a 7 or 8, and this was back in 2006, 2007.
Around that time. Yep.
He broke the transmission broke halfway down. He broke the transmission. Still ran a 7, and they had put all his VHT down on the track, and I ran 2 cars after him. And I ran against the GSX, which I really wanted a GSX back then, man. Pretty much the USDM Evo for the guys who don't know, the GSX Turbo. Same thing as the Evo 4, blah, blah, blah. So I ran, literally.
G63, baby.
Yeah, man. Right after John Shep, 2 cars, and I run right on the same lane that John Shep broke the record in. I had ball tires on. I had blown Takiko struts, and that kind of acted as, made the car soft and did the thing. And I had a KT. I just turboed my KT, man. So I was a KE guy, and I want to get a KH because I want to do it properly with my newfound skills and tuning now. But I ran a 13.7 at 124 mile per hour, and to me that was just like, I was like, dude, I've arrived, dude. I'm here. I'm 13 seconds, and now
that trap speed though, trap speed.
Yeah.
Back then, that's crazy fast, bro.
And the dude's like, "What you?" I'm like, "Bro, I was in the pits. I took the air out the tire. I'm like, I know how this works, but I was like, hey man, the tires already bald because I had bald tires, couldn't afford tires. So the bald tires on that VHT acted like kind of like slicks, and that's why I think I got on that track. I'm like, dude, the car never felt that fast ever since that day. And then also 2 hours later, the diff blew on the way home. Yeah. So and that's where you learn, like, you know, drag racing and stuff like this, man. Like drifting might seem like it's more harder, but actually it's actually drag racing, that 0 to full power, that's a lot of load, that's a lot of gear shearing, that's a lot of stuff happening from 0 to go. Those top fuel cars, for guys that don't know, they run those clutches and stuff, they get one pass and they take them out. They're welded together for the top, the nitro cars, so guys don't know out there. The one passing down, engine took it apart, pistons, everything out, blam, next run. They don't run that stuff multiple times. So drag racing, man, is props to those guys there who people think is easy and blah blah blah. Yeah, you hold it in a straight line, but it's skill involved, man. So I don't like when guys knock drag, because I started in drag racing with the Hondas and Civics, and 2003 is when I kind of changed the channel, and drifting kind of ruined my life, man.
So it's funny that you mentioned drag racing, because I'm a drag racer initially, and I'm a circuit racer.
Okay.
And I stopped, when my daughter was born, because of the money that was involved with it. But I love all forms of drag racing. I mean, all forms of racing. And I will always get into the conversations when someone says, "Oh, drag racers aren't real drivers,"
Yes.
and drifting is not a sport, and rally is. These different motorsports requires a level of skill that you're not born with it. Even though someone may be natural, it's practice and redundancy that gets you to the level. 100%. Drag racing is a different animal. Drag racing is, you have to figure out how to get all this power from the engine to the rear wheel and keep it together. That's the cool thing. Keep it together going down the track. Right? A totally different discipline from having a car that you can control uncontrollably. Right. Okay? Because drifting is controllable uncontrollability.
Right. Figure skating.
Right? Yeah. Same thing like rally. So when people talk about what is better and what is not, there are different disciplines, there's different levels of excitement, there's different levels of involvement and skill level in each sport. I don't think any is greater than the other. I will say my favorite is rally, because I see these rally guys do some unbelievable things with cars.
Amazing.
It's mind blowing.
And with that, real quick, I got it because I got it for the guys who are new to watching this. Do me a favor, YouTube, open it up and just type in Group B.
Ooh, yes. Yes.
Change your life. Yeah. It'll change your life. If you've never seen it, it'll change your life.
Yeah.
Listen. Oh man. Rally is an animal all of its own. But again, so is drifting, so is drag racing. They're just different disciplines that require different science. They all boil down to physics, and understanding the criterias and the math of physics to make it work. But again, going back to what we said, we had to learn all of that stuff on our own. Like you said, you want to go back and build your K series now with the technology that you have now that you didn't have back then.
Yeah. Oh man.
Right.
I put 1K, because I came from Hondas. I did the B18s, blah blah blah. So I had that high revving, make power into 7,000 RPM mindset. And I got the KA, and I never realized the stroke's 2.4 liter. It makes power as a truck engine, and everybody talk crap about it. But it was one of the strongest engines.
It's a bullet motor.
It's a great engine. And I didn't.
Yep.
I knew it was, and I turboed it, and I made more power than SR20s. But I was driving it like a B18, and the first three, I put rods through the block and everything. Well, the first one, and then the second one I spun a rod. And back then, I thought a bearing, to me, a spun bearing was the engine's blown. I didn't know, you just clearance it, oversized 5 over, blah, 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 continue on.
The gate,
right.
Together.
So I thought to me it was blown. So now what I know now, I'm going to get a couple Ks sent over and actually apply it again, new skills that 24 years ago I didn't have. And 1 second, buddy. 1 second. So yeah, man, definitely want to get that. So guys there who all those KAs out there, please hold them, don't trash them. I'm definitely gonna get a pallet together and get me 4 or 5 of them over here, because it's just one of those things too, man. Where it's kind of I guess, man, we're all older, I sometimes like to go back and watch a movie that I used to watch coming up.
Oh,
And now,
that's my favorite car, buddy.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
I had like 3 of those.
Yeah, man. But the go back and watch a movie that you watched back when you were a teenager. Now that you're an adult with kids, and the movie Full Metal Jacket, for example, one of my favorite movies. When I didn't realize what it was when I watched it when I was younger. It seemed like war, basic training, blah blah blah. And then I went to Iraq for 3 years. That movie means totally something different to me now, man. Like as an adult, 41 years old, PTSD, blah blah blah, all that stuff. So it's like kind of cool to go back. So even with car stuff, you go back and apply things, and it's cool. That's one of my coolest things to do. Like, oh man, let's see how these new skills work. And same thing for you, Pat, man. It just kind of ties in. You know, if you went back 15 years with the stuff you know now, man, and ran that same event, it would literally be 200 times better, because you got so much skill now with that, and you know what's going to happen before it happens. So you're like a wizard when a guy says it's running lean or it's running, it's misfiring, and you literally go over there and push the plug, push the coil pack on, and you're like a wizard to these new guys. Like, it's just misfiring, bro. You got one of the injectors are gone, or one of the coil packs are gone, or one of the injector clips are backed out. It's literally that simple, man.
And it's funny that you say that, because when I started building engines, in probably 2000, right? I was doing motor swaps and wiring, and then I decided to just go into building engines.
Right.
And I will say now I build an engine. Back then I was assembling an engine.
Right.
And there's a big difference between assembling an engine and building an engine.
Right.
Now I build
deep.
Back then,
big difference.
I was assembling engines. And it's just cool, the progress of your knowledge and your application of that knowledge as you move forward.
Right.
And it's the same thing with shows. It's like you said, what I did for a show back then versus what I'm doing for a show now. Times have changed, but it's totally different. It's interesting. It's very interesting.
I can't tell you the amount of times that Patrick said something with his, like, he has this experience and he almost like predict the future. He's like, here's what's going to happen. He'll say X, Y, and Z. And then it happens. I'm like, yo, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like even interpersonal relationships, just like, oh, I've dealt with, this scenario before, and this is what's going to occur, etc. And me, I've done a couple of things with Rotary Spirit. My friends and I have this event, but that's, obviously a completely different, we're talking about a completely different scale, which a much smaller group of people, etc. But, Patrick will just say, hey, look, I've dealt with this, etc. This is how it's going to go X, Y, and Z. And it's not like a cocky thing. It's just about experience and having had enough of the, successes or things that didn't go so well, so that after 25 years, you just have that. So that's why it's so great to be working with them.
And on that, Jeff, man, I will definitely say like that. There's this thing where like some people go overboard with it. They harbor their knowledge and they just want to be better than people. But like you can definitely have like this, not to say cocky, but you can have this confidence where if somebody's gonna give you $2 million a blank check. Okay, buddy, one second. Somebody wants to give you a blank check for $2 million, and like they want you to have that. Hey man, I know what's going to happen. We're squared away. Blah blah blah. Let's not get political, but let's look back what happened a month ago with the Trump thing and whatever. That was incompetence right there. That was people getting lazy. People getting comfortable. Like this is never going to happen again. Nobody's going to try this. Bam, it happens, and now you get the director gets fired 72 hours later, and now this one service that was regarded as impenetrable and blah blah blah, and they got everything squared away since JFK and the Kennedys, but no, man, 9/11 happened. So why would you think we're safe in protocol? So when you're doing this stuff with the cars, man, and some customers want to say, hey man, this guy's cocky or whatever, it's like, no, bro. I'm not guessing. For guys to elaborate what Patrick just said, assembling is anybody can assemble with the manual right there, but building the chamber volume, you resurface the head. Now your gasket is a different thickness because now you took material off the head and a block. It's no longer the same. So if you put a stock head gasket there, it's not going to really work properly if you start adding a lot of boost at it, because now you've taken away material that gasket is only like 0.5 millimeter thick. You're gonna do stuff bad. Your head studs are now gonna bottom out in the bottom of the block, if it's not been drilled out to actually, and the Tomei studs are cool. They have like the little points that actually fill in the voids. But now you're looking at things where you're assembling an engine and then it blows up because you didn't check stuff, man. And in building an engine, I had to come to the terms with what Patrick has said. I was assembling engines for the first 5 years of building engines. I wasn't building them. I wasn't checking things. I wasn't looking at clearances. And then I lost a couple engines of my own because things weren't right. And I figured, 0.00 over. If it's saying 0.3000 to 0.4, it cannot be over that tolerance. It's saying it for a reason. And it's just a lot of things where like maybe your crank might look round, but it's actually oval shape. I figured it out the hard way. Built the engine, and now it's getting a little. Every time you rotate, there's a little hesitation where now it's not a circle shape, it's an oval shape, it's an egg shape. So a lot of different things there, man. Where people think they got it going on. The technology is different, blah blah blah. But long story short, you want to have guys with confidence and things like that. So the guys out there who are saying maybe this guy when I talk to Pat, man, he talks down to me and he does. They're like, nah, brother, he knows what he's doing. He's already broken that before, and also he's already lost money doing somebody else's build before, so we don't lose money. So it's kind of a PTSD thing. So like, hey, I'm not gonna put this Kinugawa turbo on a 67 or what is it, the 6G72, whatever. What's the VR4 engine? 6G72.
768.
6G72. The VR4 engine. That one. Yeah.
Oh, the GTO.
Yeah, the GTO engine. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
the
so
3.0.
yeah,
okay,
yeah. So like the turbo's against the firewall, right? So if I'm gonna put a turbo in there, it's gonna be a Garrett turbo because I put a Kinugawa turbo in there. Now I gotta reach against the firewall to take a turbo off that just exploded in 2 weeks. So it's like, nah, bro, we're gonna put a Garrett turbo in there. We know it's gonna have a better life than this Kinugawa turbo XYZ, and I made that mistake and I had to pay for it. I had to swap a turbo against the firewall because I don't pull the engine out. So it's like all that stuff happens, man, and it's like we're saying no because we've already experienced the pain, and we don't want to do it again, man.
That reminds me of the time I started fabricating and I made my first turbo manifold.
Yeah.
Right, and I put it in the car, right, and then my partner at the time said, "Oh, we got this engine. I got this setup. Let's take it." And then I couldn't reach the bolts.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't reach anything because I had made the manifold off the car.
Yeah.
And not realizing that you have to have access.
Yeah. Dude.
It was a nightmare getting it off. And then, like you said, now you learn. So now you learn when you make the next manifold. You make it in such a way that you have access to get the bolts off.
Oh yeah, man! I've done to be full. I've done one worse. I've welded the. I was modifying a manifold on a car, late night, and I welded the. I was supposed to fit it, take it off, and slide the drive shaft, the steering shaft through the manifold. So I welded it up, and I was like, oh, dude. So I had to cut the manifold because I welded the drive shaft, the steering shaft. You know, sometimes you got the steering shaft pass through some of the headers. I tried to make it go around, so the kind of a bad design because the engine's going to shake anyway. That was back then when I first started fabricating. I was like, that wasn't well thought out. I should have just made it go around it, not through it. And so I welded the shaft, so I had to take it out. I had to drop the subframe, take all the stuff out. Then I was like, well, I could do that, or I can just cut it back off. So I had to cut it back in half, and that, man, this is like lesson learned, bro. Like, it's just so many things like that with people, and it's like normally 1 o'clock in the morning too when you do this. So it's just like crazy stuff for me. For as many successful jobs as I've had late nights again where I'm working on the 1J, and then I put the clutch in and I look on the table and the clutch disc is sitting on the table and the transmission's up. So it's like, dude.
Oh.
For the guys who don't know, for the 1J, you gotta you put it together inside. You gotta slide everything forward, and you gotta bolt it on through the access windows. You can't put it on the engine because the release spring is different, the fork and everything. So you slide the clutch on, you slide it all forward, line it up, bolt it in like one by one, rotate it, but one by one. So late night, I'm looking over like, dude, there's the clutch on the table right there, and the transmission's up with the drive line and everything on it. And I'm like, dude, man.
How'd that happen?
That was being awake for 2 days, and
Time to go to bed.
Yeah, and grinding. I know you've been there, Pat, man, where it's like, dude, tools down, let's go home, man, because you're just not firing on all cylinders, man. So it's just like, yeah. So dude, so many stories we can go. That could be a whole different podcast, man. But again, guys, I'm gonna get out of here, man. I don't want to hold you guys too much longer, but I do want to ask you guys if we can possibly 2-3 weeks after the event to get a post like how did everything go, videos and stuff from the event. I like to just get back on and this, so the guys can watch this episode and then also see like the post results, like what happened, what didn't happen, what did you have to cut out, what did you add. So if you guys are up to it, like, I know it's going to be a little bit busy after the event, man. I'd like to get you guys back on for a post, we call it in the military, post-ops brief, man.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Reach out to Jeff. Jeff is our PR guy. He's the personality.
Yeah.
If you ever seen this guy, and I love watching Jeff, man. I've never told him this. I'm going to take this opportunity to tell him.
Yeah.
You see Jeff out, man, this guy's everybody's friends. He's happy. He's like the Salesman of the Year award goes to Jeff. He is
good stuff, man. Good stuff, man. Hey, man, that's good. That's good.
But it's true,
man.
and the people love him because he's so personable and so nice. Like the people like me, I go up there, they're just like, yeah, who are you, Jeff? They go up there like, oh man, this guy's cool.
Yeah. I gotta borrow some of that from Jeff, man, because it's in spurts, man. Sometimes I gotta be really like, you'll be at the event and then like people be like, you'll be talking so much about the car, you go hoarse and you lose your voice. But then sometimes like I notice, with my my stuff, man. Again, not to bring up the war stuff, but it kind of affects when you get to a new environment, you kind of like you're scanning for threats, and you shouldn't be scanning for threats at a car event, but I can't control what happened to me over there. It just is what it is. I got to deal with it. But normally after about 30 minutes, I'll warm up. But within the first 30 minutes, I've gotten better with it because I just say, hey man, just get out there. Nobody's gonna hit you with an ID out here at Atlanta Motorsport Park. Hopefully they don't got a mortar on them or something like that. But it's just like I just gotten better with being more personable, and even customers come to the shop. My business is by appointment only, so I don't like walk-ins because it just throw me off when I'm doing things. But I used to be like, hey, leave. And now I'm like, I'll give them 5 minutes. Hey, business card, thanks for coming, where you from. And at least give them 5 minutes and at least thank them for coming to the shop and then send them on their way. So I've tried to get better with that, man. So again, man, to hear Jeff, and I've seen your videos, man, and I could, without Pat even saying that, I knew that was the case, man. So it's one of those things where people want to, I get to be full frontal, man. Like I'm the way if my resting bitch face, I might look like a mean guy, but once I start talking, I say, oh man, you're a nice guy, man. But Jeff, honestly, man, you're like, I mean,
Jeff is nice out the gate.
Yeah, dude. It's like Jeff, like put us side by side, dude.
Nice out the gate.
They're gonna talk to you first because I got a mohawk. I'm like 6 foot tall, and I'm a linebacker in college football, so they're probably not gonna want to talk to me like right away. So it's just like, it sucks, man. But appearances are a thing, man. So people just might feel more comfortable talking to Jeff.
One of the things that we're striving for at this event is just to have that welcoming feeling. Like when you're at the event, our staff is going to be courteous.
Right.
We're going to have stuff set up for, to direct you where to go, to what to look at, where not to go. We're going to make the event accessible, fun,
right,
and just a good time because we want you to enjoy it. We want the great reviews. It's not going to be perfect, and I'll put that out there. It's not going to be everything 100%, but our staff will be working towards making it so to give you that welcoming feeling, you, your family, your children, everybody to just come out, have a good time, have fun, watch some drifting, look at some car shows, meet the legend, and then MC Slick is the entertainer. Like, basically, you're going to leave saying, you know what? We had fun.
Nice. And that's the cool. The one thing I'm hoping that comes out of this, too, as far as the driver, man, I did the event with Tsuchiya, King of Asia, back in 2015 when I turned pro. And at that point, man, that was like the best. I've done all these drift events before it. That was the best event I've ever did. And hopefully there's going to be some guys that come to you guys' event and have this experience with Tsuchiya. And they'll walk out there and say, hey, man, this is the best like drift event I've been to, man, as a driver because, they looked after us. They made sure we had the paddocks. We had this. We had that. blah blah blah. Because you got again, I keep it real out there. There's some guys out there who take that money and then you show up, they don't have parking spaces, they don't have, it's just not what you paid for, man. And you drive from Arizona to this event and you don't even know where you're parking at. The staff is short with you. And I know you guys not gonna have that going on, man. So I guarantee you, there's gonna be some drifters there. That's gonna be like, hey,
we have a map that we're gonna publish today. We have the
Nice.
schedule that we're gonna publish today. We've been to Wall, Jeff and I, multiple times.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Gone over and over with the layout. Like I said, the gentleman that's running the car show, Coco, he runs a Friday night event there. So Jeff and I go there quite often to just map out and see how everything is. So we're hoping with all those visits and the layout that, everybody's going to be happy. We have a section for the drifters. We have a section for the car show. We have our vendors midway. We have where they park the trailers. Our spectator parking will be handled by the track, obviously, because they're more experienced with that. So overall, participant, spectator should have a really good experience at Wall. With both the Wall team and our team coming together to make this like a really fun, good experience for everyone.
Awesome. Well, you guys hear it there, man. Again, this is Pat here. We got Jeff. And again, it's going to be an awesome event, man. So you guys can get out there definitely September 7th and 8th. Mark it on the calendar. Get out there. This is the inaugural event. And it's cool when you go to the first event because, again, like I mentioned before, I went to that very first Wall, New Jersey FD event back in 2000, whatever, 4 or 5, something like that. And I haven't been back since, but I went to that first one, and that's cool. And then to have you guys go to Wall, the same place, the track is the same. It ain't really changed much. You got the bank, you got the infield. It's going to be what it's going to be. But it's definitely a cool thing, man, out there. And again, very excited for the future to be involved with you guys in the future events. And also, not only be involved as a sponsor, but also driving it because I will be driving in one of you guys' events. So mark that on the calendar.
That'd be great.
Whatever I say, I want
awesome.
to do, man. So definitely,
That'd
man,
be awesome.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to drive like the. I'm bringing some Corvettes over from America, but I'm actually going to Alan at Bridge Moto. I want to have cars there as well, so I can come over and kind of jump in. One on the East Coast and one on the West Coast, and maybe one in Texas where I can just come in there and just jump in there and drive and stuff like that. So definitely we'll be driving in the event. So sponsored and driving in the event. So definitely cool stuff out there, man. And again, brothers, man, we could talk forever, man. I know it's so much to cover. Our lives is 2 hours and 19 minutes, man. So I think it's going to be a good one out there, man. So everybody out there who's listening and watching, thank you guys for the support. Definitely go back. I've had a lot of guys on. There's not a chronological order. And one thing we do here, I do for my podcast, I don't do any scripts or anything like that because I want it to be natural. So that's just my style. Some people don't like it because they want talking points. But essentially, we covered the topic of the event and how these guys came up and then what's different from now and stuff like that. So it'd be pretty good, man. So again, guys, thank you very much for your time. And this is going to be Donnie signing off from Pinku Style Podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, check out the boss, Jeff on Boss Battle on YouTube. Patrick, do you have a YouTube channel?
It's Racers and Tuners.
Racers and Tuners.
Racers with the N and Tuners.
Okay, and I'll put all that. So all you guys' stuff, don't worry about it. I'm gonna put everything down in the bottom of the video, so you'll be able to click on it and go to there and see these guys work and what they're doing. Again, these guys are pretty experienced, been in the scene for a while. Jeff came over here to Japan and things like that. So maybe the next time you come over, Jeff, we can link up. We do some Tsuchiya stuff. I got cars. I got some FDs.
That would be amazing.
So
last time I was there, I was filming. I'm sorry to interrupt. Last time I was there, I was filming and I know Masao is quite the hike. I was looking at the map.
Yeah,
I was like,
there.
maybe.
Yeah, it's up there.
So we'll get it sorted out too. And I also want to shout out. So I know we said it earlier, but so driftbattleusa.com. You can get tickets on there through the link that takes you right to the vote. Also at Drift Battle is at Drift Battle USA. Is our Instagram. And also you can follow on Instagram as well. So we would love to have you follow along, and we would absolutely love to see you there. And Donald, we especially are looking forward to a future where we can link up in person.
For sure.
And that'd be amazing.
It definitely will happen, man. Will happen, man.
Absolutely.
We'll definitely do it, man. Again, I've known again, we've been, you know, I like the last 4 years, man. I've been meeting guys again. Lex, man, me and Lex have met on Gran Turismo, and you know, then it was just like, bro, we meet and it's like we embrace, like we just known like it's not no weirdness, like bro, we were just talking crap online, and now we in person. And it's just like there was no like warm up. It was like, bro, we just continued on what we talked about, man. So that's the coolest thing about online, man. Is like you know the person. You just only thing is different is you're just making it. And Lex, he was like, he told me pause because I was like, we're making a relationship physical now. And he was like, nah, pause, dude.
Pause.
That's
like, definite pause.
Yeah,
definite pause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, you valid, man. So I was like, we just shook hands and stuff like that, man. So again, man, I encourage you guys out there to utilize social media. You can all the drama and all the stuff and blah blah. People fighting online, man. Block all that stuff out, man, and only focus on positive stuff. This social media stuff is so powerful that if I wanted to, and I kind of do, but I got some other stuff to take care of. If I wanted to go to Germany next week and get on Nürburgring, I could literally contact somebody in my Facebook and be on Nürburgring in the car next week if I wanted to be. And that's because the power of knowing people, meeting guys, making those connections, establish connections once a week. So that's I like to leave the podcast on parting words and stuff like that, and definitely make meaningful connections. Anybody who's not beneficial, and you both should be it shouldn't be a one-way street. It should definitely be a mutual benefiting relationship. Both of you guys are going upward, not one person going up, one person going down, and make those things happen, man. Because there's enough drama and negative out there for the people who want to deal with that to feed into, but there's also a lot of positive stuff out there too. And we kind of are what you're surrounded by, man. So you're around negative people, you can't help but to have negativity in your life, man. So definitely keep it positive. Find those people that are going to motivate you. Find those people, like Jeff said, that are better than you, man, at whatever you do. Because while I can fabricate, I'm not a master fabricator. So sometimes I push off to my guy James because I know James is going to nail that 9 times out of 10. For me, I'm going to blow through the aluminum, and I don't want to mess up this part. You know what I mean? So I know my limits and what I can and can't do, and I think that's a maturity thing right there when you know what you cannot do, and then there's a lot of things I'm good at too. So whatever, man. So just take it with a grain of salt. What I said, if you believe it or not, and just apply it to your life, man. And it will do that. So again, guys, thank you guys for tuning in again. It's gonna be Jeff, and then we got Patrick here. I'll put all that stuff down at the bottom so you guys can follow him. Thank you guys for your time. And it's gonna be Donnie signing off from Solid Japan Pinku Style Podcast. See you guys later. Peace.
All right, peace.
Cool.
Take care.